Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing? What's going on? Episode number 21 of Stats Over Politics. As always, I'm Shaun Holko alongside my guys, Jaevon Toddy, Kevin the Trucker Dent. How are we doing, Kevin?
You know, man, we're doing fine, man. Just trying to live my life in my house, man, and get on the podcast and give this content. And I get judged from the very second I get on, man. So the energy's flowing. So I'm excited for this episide.
We appreciate you being here, brother. So what were you saying?
Hell yeah, brother. He's got the hat on. The hat. You gotta love it. I'm here for it.
Just for the audio only listeners, when we first joined our StreamYard chat, Kevin had his hat on, but then he also had the sleeveless cutoff, and Jaevon thought that he very much looked like a trucker. So much so that Jaevon made Kevin feel self-conscious enough to put on a hoodie just so Jaevon would stop. So that's where we're at. That's what we've been discussing for the last couple of minutes. Anyways, episode number 21 of Stats Over Politics. And gentlemen, let's not waste any more time because we have a lot to talk about today with episode number 21. We're going to get into some Sacramento Kings, even though they are currently getting clapped right now. Well, actually, not that bad. Yeah, they're getting clapped. Well, I looked over and they were down by 13. Right now they're down 16 after a Kelly Olynyk 3. Anyways, so the Kings may be getting smacked right now in Utah. However, they have already clinched their first winning season in 17 years. They have 43 wins at this point, and so we're going to get into some Sacramento Kings. Then we're going to get to some March Madness as we previewed the Madness last Monday. We're going to get into the upsets that have happened on the men's and women's sides, respectively. Then we're going to close it out with some NFL free agency and get to everything that has happened since Thursday night when Kevin and I had our free agency special. So, like I said, without any further ado, let's get right into it with the Sacramento Kings, who, like I said, for the first time have clinched a winning season for the first time since 2006. Kevin, it's well established that Jaevon is a Celtics fan. And so you and I right now, without Garry here, Garry will be here later. He will be rejoining us soon. But it's well established that Jaevon's not a real Kings fan. You and I are. So Kevin, for you, what does this mean to have the Kings clinch their first winning season in 17 years?
You know, it's crazy. We were talking earlier in the group chat between the four of us, and I was talking to the group guys about how expensive the seats were and how, you know, back when we were kids, they were giving out free tickets. You know,
free playoff tickets?
No, free regular tickets. They were just giving out. They want to support that bad. Like they were just trying to get people in the seats. And now, you know, we look at it, $800. So, you know, it's insane. But I'm happy to be a part of it, man, and it's great for the city. I just can't wait for that first win, man. I know the streets are gonna be flooded. I've been telling everybody all year, you guys thought the Timberwolves were bad. Let the Kings get a playoff home victory.
I'm just thankful, Kevin, that the Kings might actually clinch a postseason appearance rather than clinching a play-in appearance, because I thought that's what the celebration was going to be, was us getting in the 7, 8, 9, 10 seed and then having a chance to get into the playoffs. But right now, it's looking like they have a chance to get 50 wins, as Jaevon is showing us. So, Jaevon, do they get to 50 wins? Right now, they're at 43. I think off the top of my head, they have like 14, 15 games left. So, will they do it?
I think so. I'd say I'm going to go off the loop, and I'm going to say 53 wins. 53. 53 wins. Just by the way that they're looking. Right now, they're not playing so hot. But just the way that they've been playing, just as a unit, they're just one of the better teams in the NBA, not just the Western Conference, the NBA. They've been their starting five, I think, has played the most games together, so they have the most, I'd say, chemistry out of everybody, just because they're just playing together. So I mean, like Kevin kind of already said, the streets are going to be, it's going to be pretty insane. There may be a parade in Sacramento just for getting
just going up one game.
Just for getting to the playoffs, there might be a parade. Like we already noticed, the drought is 16 years, so there's been a lot of fans that have grown up, and the Kings have just been garbage their whole entire life. and now they're kind of just like, oh yeah, now we're going to the playoffs. They're going to start hopefully adding some television games on TV a little bit more, and just, even throughout the season that the Kings have been playing well, you kind of see the, networks are, hey, let's put the Kings on TV and kind of see what they do here and there. But usually, like right before the season, the Kings get like one nationally televised game, and that's it. Or they just don't. Preseason is their national televised game, and then that's it. So we were all a little young when it was C-Webb, Bibby, and Stojakovic, and, Vlade kind of going to Western Conference Finals and playing against Kobe. We were a little too young to remember all of those things, but, the aftermath of everything, Arco, we still kind of remember Arco, and just, how of a historic arena that's been for Sacramento, and then for them to tear it down, I believe it was last year. That was kind of
a year ago yesterday, actually, was their farewell event.
Yeah, a year ago yesterday. That was kind of that end of that era, if that makes sense. And now the Kings are kind of building their new, Golden One is kind of the new era Kings, Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox. Let's see if they can kind of build up something there with Sacramento. But a lot of people don't realize that, Sacramento has been starving for playoff basketball for 16 years. And I don't think people realize how tough it's going to be to play in Sacramento. I think there's be like, okay, yeah, it's the Kings. Kings this, yeah, they had a good season, blah, blah, blah. But the Kings are going to be a tough out in the playoffs. And home field or home court advantage is definitely going to be a factor.
Yeah, without a doubt. And so now let's just take a moment to get to some of these YouTube comments. As our guy Evan Tillman checks in, he says, "What's up with my guys?" Then he says, he also added the nickname Mr. Him 34. Okay, thank you, Evan. But he says, it means the Kings finally became an NBA team. All right, thanks, Evan. Appreciate the slander. Fan. Oh, it makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense. And Jerry Bell says, "What up, fam? What's up, Jerry?" We got Uncle Manny. We got Uncle Jerry. Let's just keep bringing it in. We appreciate you tuning in, Uncle Jerry. All right, guys.
Before we move on from Arco, man, Toddy, we were supposed to play there, man, before they tore it down. Oh, he froze.
Oh, the worst moment. Toddy, did you at least hear what Kevin was saying to you before you went into the free zone?
No, I did not.
I said we were supposed to play at Arco before they tore it down, man.
We were.
A game away. If we would have won that Tokay, bro, we would have played at Arco.
Yeah, we lost to Tokay by like 3 or something like that. Yeah. And then we were supposed to go to, what was it, sections, right? Yeah, we were supposed to go to sections and we lost. We were supposed to win that game. We was up at half, though.
We were supposed to, yeah.
So we was up at half.
Had to throw it in there.
Yeah, no, for sure. That would have been amazing to see you guys, or at least, I mean, I knew Toddy back in the day, so I would have seen pictures of Toddy balling out, would have seen those same photos of you and Kevin. Then we could have looked back on those memories. But it's all good. Everything happens for a reason. So now let's get to the week that was for the Kings, and away from just the fact that they won 43 games so far this year. So last Monday, when we were all doing podcast. Yeah. I was looking over at a different screen, and I was looking at my notes, and I just heard you scream, and I was trying to decode like what you said. Yeah, De'Aaron actually said, "I'm fucking nice." That's what he said. He said, "I'm fucking nice." So last Monday when we were doing the podcast, the Kings, they lost to the Bucks for the 14th straight time, 133-124. It was a very close game. And at the very end, like right after we wrapped up the podcast, I was looking at the stream, and there goes Trey Lyles and Brook Lopez scrapping it out. And it's because Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of, if not the best player in the NBA, he didn't want to just dribble the ball out. He wanted to dribble in front of Trey Lyles, and that led to Trey Lyles kind of not liking it, fouling him, shoving him. Brook Lopez came in, stood up for his teammate, and the result of it was a little scrap between both teams. Brook Lopez ended up getting fined $25,000, and Trey Lyles was suspended for 1 game because he tried to choke slam Brook Lopez, apparently. Brook Lopez, I mean, both the Lopez brothers, they love wrestling. They love to fight with mascots. So you would think that Brook was used to having someone put their hand on his throat. But that's why Trey Lyles was suspended for 1 game. As Jaevon was alluding to, the Kings won in Chicago on a buzzer beater by De'Aaron Fox as he hit the game-winning 3. After he hit that 3 with about a second left or less than a second left, turns around, he says, "I'm fucking nice," because he is the most clutch player in the NBA. That's not an opinion. That is a fact. Then the Kings go on to Brooklyn. Bad news in that game. Kevin Huerter gets hurt. He hurt his hamstring. He's currently day-to-day after an MRI. He missed the last game that the Kings played in Washington. And, guys, I've been kind of busy today and in and out watching this Kings game. Jaevon, do you know, is Kevin Huerter still out today? Is he still day-to-day today?
He didn't play. I don't think he's playing right now.
That's what I thought. Yeah, so Kevin Huerter is still day-to-day. And so then the Kings, they won in Washington as they absolutely smacked the Wizards. The Kings made a franchise record 22 of 37 three-pointers, and 15 of those 22 three-pointers came from the bench. It was an absolute great game from the bench mob. And the Kings keep on winning, guys, as they have now won 3 in a row on the road. Currently playing as I speak in Utah right now. It's in halftime. Kings are trailing by double digits, but they are the Cardiac Kings. So we shall see if they end up getting that 4th win in a row coming up. So, Jaevon, I just wanted to get your thoughts on this road trip that was for the Kings getting these. Oh, you could also talk about the Milwaukee game if you want, since that happened while we were talking last week, but mainly focusing on the 3 games on the road this past week.
Well, you know, the first game that kind of was right before the road trip when they lost to the Bucks. The Bucks are considered the best team in the NBA by a lot of people. So just to kind of see them kind of go neck and neck with them is kind of like, all right, we're kind of up there on the playing field. And then, you know, the whole shenanigans at the end of the game, I feel like that kind of sparked something in them to kind of be like, hey, let's kind of, we're one of the best teams in the league. Let's kind of get it going. And then rolling over into Chicago, De'Aaron Fox is a game winner. Going back to that last play in Chicago, first off, the refs called a horseshit call when DeMar DeRozan sticks his foot out and gets an and 1, and they call it was a 4-point play. And I was like, what? Like, no one touched him on the play. And they reviewed it for like 5 minutes. They were like, yep, it's a foul. So I couldn't believe that they actually let that play stand. And then, you know, you kind of get the ball to the best player, the best clutch player in the league, and magic kind of happens. So I kind of knew De'Aaron was going to get the ball. I thought that Patrick Williams was a little late on the double that got sent to him at the top of the key. So it looked pretty easily that he kind of just walked into that 3.
Oh, well, okay. So Jaevon just froze again. And the comment that I put up on the screen for everyone to see is Evan was saying that De'Aaron Fox saying, "I'm fucking nice," after nailing not his first game-winning 3-pointer of the season, but his second. As we remember, he did that in Orlando earlier this year. Jaevon, real quickly, I wanted to get your thoughts because you were mentioning the play when De'Aaron hit the game-winning 3, and then he said, "I'm fucking nice." Evan said that showed the inexperience of the young Kings team. He could have just kept walking to the locker room. What's your response to that, Jaevon?
I think he's talking about the Bucks game.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
I think he's talking about the Bucks game. It's just, you know,
my bad, Evan.
I don't really think it was. It didn't really look like too much. Kind of just thought. You know, Giannis, I mean, people try to reach in at the end of a game and you kind of just go behind your back. I didn't really think too much of it. And then they kind of got tangled up, and then Lyles and Brook Lopez and all that. Yeah. So, you know, a lot of just weird stuff at the end. I think Trey Lyles also got fined $25,000 too. Mm-hmm. And they suspended him. So coming out your game check. As Coach Fred will say, it's coming in the mail.
Coming in the mail.
It's coming in the mail. So, going on to the Brooklyn game, you know, I kind of thought it's more of a pure victory just because Kevin Huerter ends up getting hurt, but it's nothing too serious. So he'll probably end up coming back probably later this week. And the last game of this of the road trip, not the last game, but them going to Washington and winning, I had them on my parlay, but I ended up taking them off and put the Celtics to cover the spread. And what did the Kings do? The Kings win by like 15 points. They only needed to win by 3. So
a real Kings fan could never.
Yeah, a real Kings fan would never do so. They'd have the confidence in the Kings to actually cover the spread, which they're pretty good at. for the most part. But this is kind of something we've always talked about on this podcast. The Kings have to kind of just rack up these 3-1, 4-0 type weeks. They have to, if they want to continuously to be one of the top teams of the league, they're going to have to win at least 3 games a week and just kind of just roll it over into each and every week. If you're winning on average 3 games a week, you're going to end up becoming one of the better teams of the league. And look at that. The Kings are second in the West right now. Although they are down 19 points at halftime against the Utah Jazz, they're still second in the West. But I do think the other team that they are tied with is Memphis. I think Memphis is also down to a Luka-less Mavericks. Kyrie Irving is going crazy. So I also believe the Kings are 3.5 games out of first place. So that is something to kind of watch out for. The Nuggets were on a little 3-game skid, and the Kings were winning at that time. So they kind of shortened the gap a little bit, but the Nuggets did win yesterday. So they're going to need a little bit of help from the Nuggets if they want to try and climb for that number 1 seed. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Nuggets might drop 2 straight here and the Kings win 2 straight. It's something that to definitely look out for.
Yeah, without a doubt, and I appreciate Evan for making sure to let me know that Kevin Huerter is out. And Kevin, before I get your thoughts on this, I just got to get to a couple more of these YouTube comments. As our favorite commenter Wes says, "Let's play." Quote: "What was I doing in 2006?" Well, Wes, what I was doing.
Is Wes a Kings fan?
No.
Who is his basketball dude?
Minnesota Timberwolves. He's a Minnesota everything guy.
Why?
And he lives in Seattle. Couldn't tell you.
That's pretty interesting. Anyways, Kevin, I wanted to get your thoughts on the Kings road trip, but also if you wanted to get into a little bit with that Trey Lyles and Brook Lopez situation, but mainly focusing on the 3-game winning streak on the road.
Yeah, no, I'll dive into the games on the road. I think the game at Brooklyn really stood out to me. 7 players finished with double digits. We held the Nets to under 100 points. That's what we're known for. We're known for you're going to have to outscore us, but we were able to lock down and get some defensive stops when we needed it, allowed 0 fast break points, and allowed 0 second chance points. So for us to go in on the road and do that shows a lot of maturity in this team. Mike Brown's identity is defense, and I know it's been kind of spotty, but it's no better time than the present, getting ready for the playoffs, playing our best basketball. Since the All-Star break, the Kings are 10-2. Yes, I know Toddy mentioned we're down, 20 points to the Jazz right now, but we'll figure it out. During this 10-2 streak, we've been leading the NBA in points per game, field goal percentage, and offensive rating. So we're playing really well right now, and this is the best time, like I mentioned. There's no better time than right now to start playing well and getting ready for the playoffs.
And something that was great that came from this week is that for the second week in a row, Domantas Sabonis was named Western Conference Player of the Week. As this past week, he averaged 22.8 points per game, 16 rebounds per game, and 10 assists per game with 1.5 blocks. He's averaging, at least in this last week, a triple-double with a block and a half on top of it. And there's a lot of talk about Russell Westbrook and the fact that he was averaging a triple-double. Jaevon, do you look at Sabonis kind of as an isolated case with what he's doing statistically, or does the Russell Westbrook narrative start to trickle into your head? Because that's kind of what I struggle with, is I want to be very impressed, but I also don't want to be a hypocrite, because a lot of us, including myself, started to look at Russ and be like, okay, he's stat padding. It's not as impressive anymore. But now Sabonis is almost doing this on a nightly basis. So does Russell Westbrook trickle into your thought process when you see Domantas Sabonis doing this, Jaevon?
Not necessarily. A lot of people can say Russell Westbrook is a cancer to a team, this, that, and the third. I don't believe that to be true, but that's kind of like the narrative that's kind of hanging around him. Sabonis, the numbers that he's been putting up has been insane. It's very all-NBA-like, if you ask me. So is De'Aaron Fox, another all-NBA guy. So I think his numbers are contributing to wins. I kind of saw this quote from De'Aaron Fox kind of just saying about the Tyrese Halliburton trade, Domantas Sabonis. He was saying, pretty much I'm paraphrasing what he was saying, was just it was kind of a win for everybody. Tyrese Halliburton is probably going to end up being a superstar in this league, and him being on the Kings was kind of like just the fit of the team probably didn't fit as well as playing with the Sabonis, who De'Aaron Fox has said he's never played with a big man that's kind of demanded that much of attention that Sabonis usually gets during a game. So it was kind of a win for everybody. He was already already was an all-star coming to the Sacramento Kings. They just needed time for them to mesh. And I think that the numbers that he's been putting up is kind of contributing to the Kings' success. And, so Halliburton is kind of over there doing his own thing. But I don't really necessarily think of Russell Westbrook when it comes to Domantas Sabonis and his stat padding numbers that he's kind of been putting up.
Got you. And Kevin, for you, just last thoughts on the Kings and them clinching a winning season for the first time in 2006, but also Domantas Sabonis getting his second straight Western Conference Player of the Week.
I think it's great, man. I heard you guys' conversation earlier about Russell Westbrook in the past stat, and I think, the difference is Domantas Sabonis comes in winning. Russell Westbrook really wasn't having winning outcomes, and he would also turn the ball over a lot. Now he was in the mainstream, it was becoming noticed. But
yeah,
it's all good. Kevin's currently managing his puppy right now. As Blue wanted to give his thoughts as well on what Domantas.
He said, "Go Kings."
He said, Jaevon said that he was barking at your hat.
Yeah,
I guess the hat's too. Is that a B on your hat?
It's a Gucci hat.
Yeah, man, it's a B on my hat.
See,
He's wearing a Gucci hat.
No, that's pretty good.
But no, I think kind of what Kevin was basically saying is that, Russell Westbrook has a lot of usage, and his usage is so high that it kind of results in a lot of turnovers. So kind of with Sabonis, he doesn't really have to have the ball in his hands a lot, but when he does, he's very effective and is able to kind of pass out of the post. And that's why you see a lot of assists kind of come up. And he dominates the glass. I think he averages like 13 rebounds a game. So it's pretty insane how effective Sabonis can be, with the ball in his hands. And he kind of is, I haven't really kind of taken him to be a point forward type of guy, but he's kind of been, a guy that can bring the ball up. We're starting to see that a lot now, more and more in this league when you're a small forward or your power forward is kind of able to bring the ball up. So he's kind of been that for the Kings now. And I don't know if he's leading the team in assists, but he probably might be up there when it comes to assists for the team. So Shaun will probably be able to look that up. But Sabonis is a guy that, you can put the ball in his hands and he'll be able to make a play for sure.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Jaevon, that I think that he probably is leading the Kings in assists this season because, he's damn near averaging close to 10 assists a game, at least off the top of my head, as the Kings currently trail against the Utah Jazz by 14 points in the third quarter. So the team that the Kings are currently tied with for that second seed in the West is the Memphis Grizzlies. You guys have already covered the situation with Ja Morant very well a couple weeks ago in the episode that I missed. And so we won't take any time going into that whole situation. But now Ja is nearing a return as he checked out of a Florida facility after, I think, 2 days of treatment. 1 day, 2 days, not very long. He was in a Florida facility. And he was suspended by the NBA for 8 games for conduct detrimental to the league. But when that 8-game suspension was announced, they said that 6 of those games had already been retroactively served just in the games that Ja had already missed, just stepping away from the team after flashing a gun on Instagram Live in a Denver strip club. So he is technically eligible to return today, but he was ruled out as he's still getting his conditioning back. For our audio only listeners, Jaevon was just mimicking Ja Morant.
He's been waiting to stop it.
And so, anyways, Ja was eligible to return today, but he was ruled out. He could return on Wednesday. So, Kevin, do you think that Ja is returning too soon? Like, rather than getting into the whole Ja situation that led to him being out, I just want to know, do you think that he's coming back too soon from all of that?
I definitely think it's coming back too soon. For him to come out and address to the world that he feels like he has some kind of problem and has some things he needs to deal with. And the world we live in and for you to go there for 2 days and say, all right, I'm ready to go back. Fresh cut and all. He ain't struggling for 1 day. He was in there chilling. So for him to come back, you can take that as what you mean. But for the NBA standpoint, they needed to get their product back on the floor as soon as possible. So I'm not surprised that they counted the games, but it's a business.
What do you think about Ja Morant, Jaevon? And did he come back too soon?
Well, they said there was going to be, an 8-game suspension, and he already served 6. They're like, hey, he's been out 6 games. Let's just
So stupid.
let's just add that in with the suspension. I thought it was going to just be another 8 games. To be honest, I thought he was going to be suspended for the rest of the NBA season. Well, like the regular season. I thought, kind of just, hey, let's take some time. You get yourself right and make sure everything was where it needs to be. I think he lost. I don't know if he lost Powerade, but I know that Powerade was like, we're going to take a little bit of a step back here. He still has the Nike deal. He didn't really lose any sponsorships, but, he wasn't getting paid for those, 8-on games that he's kind of been out. So now we'll kind of see how things are going to be now. I mean, I think it kind of just seems like everything's just going to go back to normal. John Morant is the star of the team, obviously. He's kind of the heart and soul of the team. So my thing is they play Houston on Wednesday night. John's probably going to have 35 and just welcome back game.
Can you imagine? 35, 12, and 12.
He's gonna. If you guys are betting men, I would bet John Morant to go for 30 on Wednesday. Just, first game back, all of the controversy, everybody was doubting me out. We're going to see a lot of emotions on Wednesday. He's obviously super talented. He's one of the top players in the league. And just, the whole shebang, Instagram Live, and kind of how that went down, and just how it was very bizarre. Just kind of the snowball effect of things that were kind of happening, and just him and the lawsuit with the kid and the police report, him punching on somebody, him getting into it with, the Pacers and all of that stuff. And then this happening on Instagram Live. So it was just kind of weird. It was a lot of weird kind of things that were kind of happening around Ja and kind of everything that was surrounding him. And then the whole, I don't know if you guys saw the Jalen Rose interview and just him going in, the gun wasn't mine, dude. That was John. Why was Jalen Rose?
What did they expect him to say? Yeah, it was such and such as.
Why was Jalen Rose asking him all these weird ass questions that could incriminate him?
Well, the reason why I think Jalen Rose asked some very specific questions is because, I mean, I look at this with my journalism degree, and to me, I think Jalen Rose, I mean, Ja's group of friends and family probably saw everything that Jalen had to say in the immediate aftermath of it, and they could see that he sympathized with him, and understandably so. Jalen was probably the best possible person to do that interview with Ja because he sympathized with him. But for the people saying that Jalen was asking hard-hitting questions, saying like, what was going on and whose gun was it? Like, I have a feeling that unless Ja said to him, like, off the record or on background, off the record means what we talk about, you can't tell anyone else. On background means you can take the information I'm giving you and you can go get more information using the information I'm giving you. So whatever Ja might have told him when those cameras weren't rolling was likely, man, it wasn't even my gun or something of that effect. And so then Jalen was probably like, do you want me to ask you on camera? Was it your gun? He said, yeah, ask me, because I'm going to tell you it wasn't my gun. And so I have a feeling that was probably a part of the discussions beforehand. Otherwise, I don't understand why Jalen would have asked a question like that, unless he really was trying to get his big J in journalism. I mean, to me, I just didn't really understand it. And so now, Kevin, comparing Ja Morant to probably the closest similar case that we have is a Gilbert Arenas. And Gilbert Arenas was suspended for 50 games by the NBA. Chops. And David Stern, he labeled him mentally unstable. But the difference, context is important. The key difference was that Gilbert Arenas brought guns into an NBA facility, into an NBA locker room. Yeah, exactly. Plural. Guns with an S. And so he brought them into an NBA locker room. Who knows how long Ja might have had that gun with him that was displayed for the world to see on Instagram Live. But Ja was shown, the one time that he was shown with it was in a strip club, not in an NBA facility or an arena. Can we imagine what?
if Gilbert Arenas went on Instagram Live with all of the guns that he had. Can we just imagine how crazy that would have been? That's what the world
social media back then.
Oh my goodness, the world would have been set on fire.
Imagine, I mean, when I think about like former athletes not having social media around, I instantly just think of Dennis Rodman. I'm like, imagine if social media existed during those 72 hours in Las Vegas that Dennis Rodman left Bulls practice, went to Vegas, came back before the game. So Kevin,
he'd be a YouTuber. Yeah, right? He'd have a vlog.
Exactly. He would be vlogging the whole time. And whatever you think that Dennis Rodman may have been vlogging,
Kings
that's up for your own interpretation. Kings do cut it to 5. So, hey, Cardiac Kings, they're on their way back. And so, Kevin, comparing Ja to Gilbert Arenas, do you think that him coming back sooner rather than compared to a Gilbert Arenas is better for him? Because Uncle Jerry makes a great point where he says sometimes a good way to get through things is to get back to normal, and playing is normal. Yeah. And so do you think that was because Adam Silver is completely different from his predecessor in David Stern, and Adam Silver is without a doubt, Stern 30 games minimum. And so do you think that this is better what Adam Silver did, and that it's better for Ja just to get back sooner rather than later, like Uncle Jerry said?
Yeah, no, I mean, let's be real. Ja you could have argued it was a BB gun, a water gun. Like, Gilbert Arenas brought guns, plural, like Toddy said. Like, and Gilbert Arenas is known to be a jokester and do a lot of shit. So for him to do that, you have to let people know that you can't do that. So yeah, it was a hard punishment, but you just can't set the precedent that it's okay to walk into a facility with more than just your teammates there with guns. Like, you think it's fun with just your teammates, but there's hundreds of other people in that building. So it's different, So if John held up, like Toddy said, 4 or 5 shotguns and an AR, it might be different. But it was a little water gun. People were clouding him for it. If you're going to show something, that's what you show. So I think that's the big difference here in the two cases.
All right. Well, guys, now let's get to our last NBA topic of the week, and that is, I guess Jaevon would say this is my guy, as Ben Simmons and Klutch Sports Agency, headed by Rich Paul, friend of LeBron James, obviously. Ben Simmons and Klutch, they mutually parted ways this past week. As Ben Simmons, I don't remember the last time that he played for the Nets. I saw him at the end of that Kings broadcast when they were in Brooklyn, when he went up to Kessler Edwards after the game and gave him a dap. That's all I saw of Ben Simmons throughout that entire broadcast. And so, man, I don't know what to think about Ben Simmons anymore and what could be left of his career. So, Kevin, what do you think about Ben Simmons and what could be left of his career?
Toddy froze.
I thought it was.
Why is he just
Toddy, you just froze. Okay. Well, Toddy just left temporarily. He'll be back. But anyways, back to Ben Simmons. Yeah.
But yeah, when he left Philadelphia, everyone just said, he just needed a new environment, a new scene, and we'll get back to the Ben Simmons of old. And now we're seeing in a new scene, he's doing even worse. He's digressing as a player, and confidence goes a long way as an NBA player. You're at the top of the top, thousands of millions of people watch you. You're getting paid all this money, so all these expectations are coming from you, and it's definitely bigger than basketball out there. He doesn't even look at the rim to shoot, so it's even worse than leaving Russell Westbrook wide open, and like when the Warriors play him. So he's really just in a bad mental state right now, and for him to leave with Klutch, if Klutch can't help you, then no one can at this point. that's big dog. You can go to a little agency and try to figure it out, but I just think Klutch didn't want their name attached to him anymore.
Jaevon, what are your thoughts on my guy Ben Simmons partying with Klutch?
I mean, this is all Shaun's fault, honestly. I mean, the last time that he was at his peak was during that playoff series, and then the whole him not dunking it, that was kind of the series that Trae Young sent him off, man. I don't know what you want me to say. I mean, Ben Simmons was playing at an all-time he was all-star, defensive player. Did he win? No, defensive player of the. I think all defense. He was all defense.
All defense,
all
first
defense.
team twice. Yep.
Yeah, all defense, and he was young. I think he was winning all that at like 23, 24, and now he's
first 5 years.
He's kind of just Ben Simmons was that guy. I think he had a couple of great series against the Celtics, albeit we kind of just got dried our hands with them there. But I mean, that was those process years, and seeing him in the playoffs going against Trae Young, and I think that was right before COVID too, or right after COVID. I think it was right after, to be honest.
I think it was after. It was after. It was the first season after the bubble.
And then kind of just the whole that showed you how much mental the game actually is. We're even seeing with Markelle Fultz, a guy that was the number 1 pick, same as Ben Simmons, and the whole shot fiasco, and he just had his career high on Sunday against the Clippers. I think it was 28 points that he had.
Mm-hmm.
So there are definitely two sides of the spectrum of the game and how mentally it literally can be. Of Markelle Fultz, he bounces back, goes to a new team, bounces back, he signs an extension with the Magic, and he's having his career high. And there's the other side when Ben Simmons gets traded for James Harden, and kind of just, we were all kind of skeptical of, his health and him just, like he could come back for game 7 of the final, or game 7, KD needs him, this, that, the third. And then we're just like, hey, all right, well, Ben is his back. He can't play. And then there are all these reports, from Woj, they're ramping him up for game 6, and he's looking like he's on track to play, and he never ends up playing, and who knows how much of a factor he really would have been in those playoff series against the Bucks. And now you're kind of just seeing him, you saw him with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and he was kind of just, the odd man out. Never really had a fit there. I don't know if he's hurt right now. And now that KD and Kyrie are gone, what is he supposed to kind of do now? And, even Jaevon came out and said, hey, man, I don't know where we're going to put him in the rotation. When the coach is saying out of the where does Ben Simmons – hey, Kevin, where does Ben Simmons fit in the offense? Hey, man, I got no idea. when the coach puts his hands up at the podium and says, I have
nothing he can do, man.
I can't.
He's a victim to just like us.
All I'm saying is, I wouldn't be surprised if can the Nets cut him? Just cut him.
I think they have. Yeah, exactly. They have too much money owed to him on that 5-year max.
He's staying super max. So that contract is over because they don't know one want him.
James Harden finessed his way out of Brooklyn, and they got played in the end.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it, is that James Harden, and the funny thing is after Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving got traded from Brooklyn this season, James Harden finally started saying a little bit more in the media, where he was like, now I ain't so crazy now, right? Now I'm not so crazy for saying that I wanted to get out of Brooklyn after what he was there, Kevin, for like a year, just over a year, just like not very long.
Yeah, not very long at all.
Yeah. Exactly. And so James Harden was like, suddenly I'm not the crazy guy. Oh, isn't that amazing? And I just think that time is the best way to tell things overall. It's just look at that's why I try not to overreact to small sample sizes, because time really tells after all. I want to get your thoughts on this real quickly, Kevin, as in the YouTube comments, Angelo, he says Ben Simmons sucks. Okay, I think that's well known around the league, at least the narrative. But then Angelo says he needs to leave the league. Do you think that he needs to leave the league? Like, is he really already at that point? I don't think he's at that point yet.
No, he's not at that point, man. At some point, he's going to have to figure it out. Or he's just going to be the end of the rotation guy. You have this contract, you have all this money. This is what you've been doing your whole life. So for you to just kind of give it up at this point makes no sense. You got everything you've ever wanted. And this is really all if you really don't want to do it, man, finish out your contract, shake hands with him and walk off. But I don't think he should leave. He's definitely too talented to just be walking around the street.
Yeah, that's a fact. And during the whole Ben Simmons trade saga of will he or won't he be traded from Philadelphia, I was someone who was okay with the idea of the Kings trading for a Ben Simmons, and I'm even still okay with the Kings trading for a Ben Simmons. Today, I'm more so okay with it. I see the look on your face. It's just like the emoji where it's like, I don't know about that. But the reason why I say even to this day I'm okay with it is because I know how much his value has plummeted around the league. I mean, if you got someone like Angelo saying that he just needs to get out of the league and potentially go home to Australia and go play in the NBL, like nice. That, you know, it could be the case for Ben Simmons. Real quickly, Jaevon, I just wanted to ask you before we move on from the NBA. One of our YouTube commenters, Angelo, he says, Ben Simmons needs to leave the league. Do you think it's already time for him to get out of the league, or it hasn't gotten that far yet?
I don't know.
Your hesitation.
It's not far-fetched. Why not go to Australia?
Whoa. That's disrespectful.
Why not go to Australia and play with like your national team, or like go overseas like in the summer or something like that?
I think he's still or whatever. Dwight, him and Dwight team up.
I don't know if he would leave the league per se, maybe another team, but I mean this would be his third team now, so I don't know. The Kings, why not? You can use a 4. I mean,
Shaun was just talking about it.
I was just saying that
Ben Simmons could play he could be your backup 4. Could he start? He could start. Could he start on the Kings right now?
If Harrison Barnes is no longer around, because you got to start De'Aaron, Sabonis, Keegan, and then either Malik or Kevin, exactly, and then there's the Harrison Barnes spot right there.
On the bench,
he could.
Or
without a
start. You could do.
We start Trey.
You could do Ben, or you could do De'Aaron, Kayvon. You could do Harrison, you could do Ben, and you could do Sabonis.
Okay, so you bump Keegan to the bench then.
Keegan came off the bench.
Yeah, he did. That,
so,
you know,
he's a rookie. He's a rookie. Goddamn, Kevin. Kevin was talking about like he's the best team he's on the best second team in the West. He's rookie of the year.
Man,
and
sometimes he be showing up when we need him to, man.
Yeah, great fit.
And we shall see if Keegan is able to help the Kings show up here in Utah, as the Kings are currently tied at 88 with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter on my feed. I'm a little bit, for those of you who are also watching the Kings game live right now, my tablet is like a minute behind on my little stream. So please forgive me if I'm behind where you are watching. Anyways, you guys are all tuned in here to Stats Over Politics, episode number 21. Shaun Holko alongside Kevin Dent and Jaevon Toddy. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to give us a like. It really helps us a lot. If you like the show, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live as well. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Stats Over Politics, and on Twitter at Stats or Politics. And if you're listening right now on audio, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. If you're enjoying the show, give us 5 stars. We really appreciate it. So now, guys, I think it's time to get to my favorite time of every week, and that means it's time for Shaun's pop quiz. I was gonna try to. Well, okay, so Jaevon, you know, Kevin, Jaevon just fell out of the episode, so Kevin gets all 3 questions this week. All right. So
Rookie of the year.
Jaevon. All right, exactly. All right, so Jaevon has made his way back into the stream. So, Jaevon, I have 3 questions for you guys this week. And as I need to quickly change our ticker, this week's edition of Shaun's Pop Quiz will focus on March Madness, because here we are, right in the thickness. I don't know. Whatever. We are in March Madness right now. And so, Kevin, you are currently our leader for Shaun's Pop Quiz as I pull up the scores. Kevin currently has 10. Jaevon has 9. And Garry, to be fair, Garry has missed a handful of episodes, but Garry sits at 6. So Kevin at 10, Jaevon at 9, and Garry at 6 after 20 episodes. So, Kevin, since you are still at the top of our leaderboard, you like to say that it's lonely at the top because you've been there for a while. So, we're going to start off with you again this week, Kevin, since you are still our leader. So, I want to know who has the most losses in men's college basketball. I want to know who has the most losses versus double-digit seeds in the history of men's college basketball. And I'll repeat the question one more time. So in men's college basketball, there are actually 2 teams tied with 9 double-digit losses. Excuse me. Let me correct that. There are 2 teams tied for 9 losses versus double-digit seeds all time in men's college basketball. So if you had to guess, Kevin, and I understand that this could be a bit of a tough question. So the context that I will throw with this, and don't worry, Jaevon, I got you with some context too, is that the context behind this is let's keep in mind what we just saw. That's all I'll say. So one more time, there are 2 teams tied with 9 losses versus double-digit seeds in men's college basketball all time. One of these teams, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Virginia?
So, Virginia? No, that was very close. Virginia has 8 losses versus double-digit seeds all time. So Virginia was not the answer to this question, but that was damn close. Like it's on the list. They're right there, but they don't have 9. They have 8. So Jaevon, do you want to try and nope. Kevin, I think Jaevon just froze again. So I don't know if
all right, so I'll guess for him.
All right. So I guess so. I mean, he's frozen. It's going to take him another 15 seconds to get back. Oh, wait. Jaevon. Oh, no. Okay. Well, he just left. All right, Kevin.
Bonus question if I get it right.
All right, Kevin, you just get another shot here. It's not Virginia. There are 2 teams. And if you can name either of these 2 teams, I'm looking for one, but if you can name either of these 2, then you will get the point. So there are 2 teams all time that have 9 losses in the NCAA men's tournament. 9 losses versus double-digit seeds all time. It's not Virginia. Virginia has 8. There are 2 other teams that have 8, but then there are 2 teams that have 9. I want to know one of the 2 teams that have 9.
All right, so my second guess was Kansas. Let's see what time guesses.
So Kansas is incorrect. Jaevon, I let Kevin get a second guess since you froze right when you were supposed to answer. So do you want to try and steal? Duke? The answer is wrong. No, it is not Duke. Okay.
Disrespect. Hey, yo, come on the pod and just be disrespectful.
So there are 2 teams with 9 losses versus double digits all time.
It might be Arizona.
Arizona has 8 all time. So Virginia, Arizona, and Wisconsin all have 8 losses versus double-digit seeds all time. The 2 teams with 9 double-digit losses or losses to double-digit seeds is UCLA. Wow, he's just going through it. Okay,
I was so close to guessing UCLA.
UCLA. Yep. So one of them is UCLA, but Kevin, the hint that I gave you about thinking about what you just saw, the other team is Purdue. Purdue has 9 losses all time versus.
I was going to guess that, but I was like, "There's no way."
Purdue and UCLA. So Purdue is 1-3 versus double-digit seeds in their last 3 appearances.
Yeah, I knew that.
That's insane. That's insane. All right, so now moving on to Jaevon's question. I mean, he's not here, so Kevin, it's your time. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna it's gonna be pretty low. It's gonna be pretty lonely at the top for you for a while.
Man,
you're gonna be there for a while. All right, Kevin. Here's the question. So this team was 47-0 all time in the NCAA tournament men's side when leading by 8 or more at the half. So I'll repeat the question. This team was 47-0 all time in the NCAA tournament when leading by 8 or more points at the half. Do you have a guess?
I don't think this is right. Kentucky?
No, that is incorrect. Jaevon, okay. Well, let's see if Jaevon, are you back? Can you hear us?
Yes.
All right. So I just asked Kevin your question because you weren't here, but you were back in time to try and get the steal on your own question. So this team was in men's college basketball. This team was 47-0 all time in the NCAA tournament when leading by 8 or more points at halftime? I'll repeat the question one more time.
Bro, I just saw this stat.
This team
I just saw this stat.
This team was 47-0 all time
Kansas.
in the NC. Ding, ding, ding. He got it right. It is Kansas. He got it.
Kansas.
Kevin guessed Kentucky. I was going to say, Kevin, when you guess it wrong, that it's the wrong blue blood that starts with a K. Kansas is correct. Kansas led
I was watching that game.
Arkansas.
They were
Yep.
like, because Arkansas was down that whole game. Yeah, bro. I had Arkansas money line for all my bettors out there.
All right, so there you go. Jaevon gets the point. He is now at 10, and Kevin and Jaevon are tied for first place at the top of Shaun's pop quiz.
Got some comp in the top, baby.
Damn it, I went over 2 today. Come on, Kev.
All right, now there is a bonus question. This would have been Gary's question, but he's hard at work right now covering boys volleyball, and so this will count as a bonus question. The first person who I hear, because I will likely be looking down, the first person I hear will be the first person I get an answer from. So, Marquise Noel from Kansas State was responsible for 62% of his team's points this past weekend in Kansas State's win. And so Marquise Noel was responsible for 62% of Kansas State's points, which ranked second most all time in the NCAA tournament since 2010. There are 2 other players since 2010 who have been responsible for 60% or more of their team's points
D-Rose
in the NCAA tournament since 2010. And the hint is that both of these players were top 10 picks in the NBA draft.
Jimmer for that.
Right there.
Let's fucking go, Tony. He's lonely at the top. He's lonely at the top.
Derek Rose was incorrect, Jaevon. Jimmer Fredette was one of the players, along with Marquise Noel, who just did it this past weekend. Jaevon, there was one other player, if you want, and Kevin, if you want to try to guess that other player, there is still a point on the board if either of you want to take a stab at it. If you don't, we'll move on and we'll get to the games that have actually been played.
Tyreek Evans?
So, nope. Tyreek Evans was drafted in 2009. So since 2010, there have been 3 players responsible for 60% or more of their team's points in the NCAA tournament. When they say responsible for, that includes points and assists. So Jimmer Fredette, Marquise Noel, and there was one other guy. This one other guy was responsible for 63%, the most of all time. I would say, well,
is it obvious?
Michael Jordan?
Toddy, oh my God.
No. Well, Toddy, I had to correct myself real quickly. I said all time. It's actually since 2010, so I apologize.
Oh, my bad. I heard.
No, you're good. I did say since 2010 earlier, but I just misspoke right now. But anyways, any other guesses? Since 2010, think of one player taking over. No. Jaevon, you're thinking of everyone like from 2005 to 2010. This is after 2010.
Brandon Ingram?
No. You guys are going to hate yourself. You guys are going to both kick yourself.
Hold on.
Anthony Davis?
No.
John Wall?
No, it's not John Wall either.
Is it a guard?
It is a guard. If I say the year, it'll give it away. No, not Jalen Brunson. All right, that's it. I'm cutting it. We were talking about him earlier.
Kemba Walker.
No. When did we say Kemba Walker?
I'm just thinking of great college.
Ja Morant.
Ja motherfucking Morant in 2019 was responsible for 63% of Murray State's points in the NCAA tournament.
Man, that's honestly good. I would never guess Ja Morant. I was thinking way earlier.
Yeah.
I was gonna say 2019, but I knew if I said 2019, it would have just gave it away. It would have just gave it away. Ja Morant right there. So, anyways,
bro, the Jimmer.
You both got a point this week. Congratulations. What did you say, Jaevon?
The Jimmer trap.
The Jimmer trap.
They fell for the trap.
The Kings, they sure did fall for the trap.
The
Kings are currently. Yeah, go ahead.
we have a Kevin's pop quiz this week.
Let's
go. What's the record, Shaun? Do you know the record?
My record. I think I'm 0 for 1 on Kevin's pop quizzes.
I think I got a good one. I think I got a good one.
Yeah, I'm currently 0 for 1 on Kevin's pop quizzes. So let's see if I can make it 1 for 2, get to 50%.
So with Brandon Cooks being traded, him and one other NFL player have been traded 4 times. Who is that other player?
That's a great one because
your receiver.
Nope.
That's a great one because
play defense.
Who? Deion Sanders.
Nope. I'll give you one more guess though.
Okay.
I think Deion's probably traded like 3 times.
Well, yeah, Deion was probably left as a free agent. He didn't get traded. That's a good one. One other player. Hold on. Let me get this going real quick. Hold on. Kevin's pop quiz. Kevin's pop quiz.
We just kept it quiet.
I'm sorry, Kevin. Here we go. Here's Kevin's pop quiz music. But let's see. One other.
No,
no. Jadeveon Clowney hasn't been traded.
He's been going to free agency.
I think Kevin just stumped me again. He's a defensive player. I'm drawing a complete blank.
It's a hard one. If you would have got this right, that would have been crazy impressive. Eric Dickerson.
Dickerson. Wait, what? You said defensive player.
You nut job.
Oh, I'm
for sure a running back.
No, he's definitely a tripping.
I was about to say.
I was just looking at the picture. I was trying to.
All right, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. He threw us off. He threw us off the set, and he said that an offensive player played defense. It's all good. But hold on. What do we think? Is this better than Fly Eagles Fly at least?
For it has to be Fly Eagles Fly. It has to be.
It's way better than Fly Eagles Fly.
Considering the free agency that they've had.
Okay,
I got another one. I got to redeem myself.
Okay, go ahead. I had to stop the music because I thought Kevin was about to leave, so I had to stop the music. All right, go ahead, Kevin.
NFL team has drafted the most Heisman winners?
What NFL team?
Browns.
Nope.
Damn.
This is another good one. Can I at least get the conference? Let me cut the field down.
NFC.
Okay. NFC.
Commanders? Redskins?
I'm gonna say the Commanders just became a thing.
Yeah.
Well, the Washington franchise would be a guess.
Football
team.
I honestly.
We ain't never drafted no Heisman winner. I don't think.
It's crazy to think too.
Saints? Cowboys?
Let's go with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Nope. I'll give you one more guess.
The Falcons?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, my last guess
Lions
is. Oh.
Damn. Yeah,
is it the Lions?
I like right when he said it, I was like, that's the one. That's the one.
Oh, like they're gonna go through the whole NFC.
That's a good one.
Huh?
Barry Sanders won the Heisman?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah, no, he definitely did. He definitely
at
did.
Oklahoma State.
He's in the commercials.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
That's the only reason I know.
Yeah.
Wait, so who's the other Heisman winners that they've drafted? Is it old as fuck?
Oh yeah, it was on Get Up this morning. I didn't know none of the dudes besides Barry Sanders.
Oh, it was a Hembo question, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. Kevin, did you see that when you were working out at the gym?
Oh yeah, bro. I'll be locked in. No rap music before 10, bro. Gotta
I have that same thing.
That's where I get all my knowledge from, bro.
Honestly, I have the same situation where sometimes I'm at the gym and I might be working out and then I just glance over at the TV and I'm like, oh, that's a good stat. Take a picture of the TV real quick. I'm like, all right, yeah. That's between StatMuse and just taking pictures of my TV, that's basically how I get all of the questions for Shaun's Pop Quiz. All right. Well, guys, thank you for playing. And Uncle Jerry thought it was Dante Fowler. That also would have been a really good guess right there, too, for Kevin's question about a player being traded. So, guys, now let's move on and let's get to the games that have been actually played. And let's get to Men's March Madness to start off with. So, in men's March Madness, we have already seen 2 number 1 seeds being taken out. We have also seen 2 number 1 seeds being taken out on the women's side. We'll get to that in a moment. Starting on the men's side, we have Purdue, number 1 seed Purdue, getting upset by FDU. Jaevon, what does FDU stand for? I don't even remember off the top of my head. Fairleigh Dickinson University. So small that
Jersey.
so it's in Jersey, and so small that they didn't even have a band. When they won against Purdue and then they played their second round game, they had to have the Dayton Flyers band come play for them because they don't even have a school band. And they play in the smallest college gym in the country, apparently.
That's crazy.
And someone posted a picture of it onto Twitter, and it almost looked just like the Sacramento State gym. And so I was like, hey,
wow.
Anything is possible. And so Purdue, they got taken out by FDU. Kansas got upset by Arkansas, who was the 8th seed in the second round. And so let's just get to these 2 matchups real quickly. Which do you think was the bigger upset, Kevin? I mean, it sounds like kind of a stupid question because obviously Arkansas was the 8th seed versus FDU being the 16th seed. But Purdue, they seemed like they were going to get upset at some point. And I mentioned that stat earlier where they have 9 losses all time versus double-digit seeds. Exactly, Jaevon, as they're 1-3 against double-digit seeds in their last 4 matchups. And so do you think that FDU was the bigger upset, or was it former Kings coach Eric Musselman in Arkansas, Kevin?
I think that it has to be Purdue, man, for them to just keep on losing like these double digits for the last 3 losses, for them to be lose to a 16 seed, a 15 seed, and a 13 seed is embarrassing to think. And then especially the biggest one from this last 3 losses was St. Peter's. St. Peter's made a run to the Elite Eight, baby. I'll say they made a run to the Elite Eight.
A lot of money I made on them.
Purdue they sparked the flame, and St. Peter's just kept on going. But in the Big Ten, it's real competitive, and they don't really look like the best team in the Big Ten from night in and night out. So when you just put them on a bigger scale, you can see their flaws. But big shout out to National Player of the Year, Zach Edney. Edie, I want to say it's crazy to think that he's like 7'6". They say he's like taller than Victor, yeah.
Yeah, he's like 7'4".
Yeah, he's just a giant.
He's Taco Fall. He's like really insane. Taco Fall. He can't move.
But, yeah, man. Seeing Kansas go down to Arkansas was big as well, but not as big to me. I've been telling Toddy all year. I think Arkansas can go. They have the team for them to be for the past 3 seasons to make it to the Sweet 16 and get their heart broken. They've just been banging on the door, and they were right there from the jump. But even in my bracket, man, I couldn't pick them going against Kansas. I thought, just them being the national championship runner back-to-back. But I did not know that Bill Self was not coaching. I found that out before the game.
Yep.
That shit was crazy. But while we're on the March Madness question, I got a question for you guys. Who were the last 2 teams to repeat in the last 50 years?
Damn, I saw this stat. Again. But I forget the last.
You see, in women's basketball, this is easy. Men's, not so much.
Was UConn or not UConn? Was North Carolina one?
Mm-mm.
No, yeah, I couldn't tell you the teams.
Because, I have absolutely no idea.
It was like hella long ago, though, wasn't it? Or wait, no. Florida was one of the teams.
Yeah, Florida 06, 07. Yep.
Florida's one of the teams. I don't remember the other teams.
You can name the second one, Toddy.
Is it not North? Is it Duke?
Of course.
Wow.
1991, 1992. I thought you guys were for sure going to get Duke. I didn't think you guys were going to guess Florida.
Well, Grant Hill.
I should have got Florida because they beat Ohio State in one of them.
I remember just seeing. I remember that team was
freaking
Joakim Chalmers and Joakim Noah.
Yeah, no, that team was filthy.
Yeah, Kevin wasn't even alive when they repeated. He's like, "Yeah, come on, man."
I thought it was a cool stat, bro. I took a picture as soon as Kansas lost. It popped on the screen. I was like, "Oh, they're not gonna get this."
Yeah, but going back to the Purdue Fairleigh Dickinson game, it was Purdue all year has kind of just been a team that's been fucking around, but they somehow remained in the top 4, and I never understood why. Their team is kind of one-dimensional. They like to get the ball inside of Zach Edey because he's 7'4" and he's just so big, it's hard to defend him. But just the inconsistency that they play on the road, they just look like one of the worst teams out there. But that's usually any college basketball team. Any college basketball team on the road is just like they're impossible to just beat. So if you ever find a team that's able to win on the road consistently, they're a team that usually translates in the tournament. So usually when the team plays on the road or when they're at a neutral site, that kind of like just determines on really how good that the team actually can be. With them, it was just kind of just like you kind of were just the way that their whole season went. It was kind of like, all right, they're probably going to lose in the first or the second round, and they're going to become like a number 1 seed. And they won the Big Ten, but I mean, you know, it's just kind of like I kind of just saw it. It was brewing, and then going to the Arkansas-Kansas game. Shaun asked the group chat kind of before, who do you guys got? You guys got Kansas, and I was just kind of like, you know. To be honest, at this point, I'm just like, fuck my bracket. My bracket doesn't mean shit anymore. If we're going off me just from a pure gambling mind state and momentum that a team usually has, I'm just going off of what I saw in the first games versus what my bracket was going off of, and it was 2 totally different things. So obviously, I think I had Kansas going to like the Final Four or Elite Eight or something like that. And I saw Arkansas play, and I was like, damn, this team is like really good. But Arkansas is they were a team that they were like number 1 at one point in time in the country. And I think one of their star players tore their ACL, and that's kind of like what derailed their season. But Devo Davis is a guy that a lot of people really aren't going to talk about. He was freaking cooking on Saturday, and he was a guy that basically kept them in the game, the entire game. And I think he fouled out with like 4 minutes left. And then Council kind of like took over the game. Anthony Black is a guy that you would have liked to see a little bit more from. He's not really a scorer per se. He's more of a guy that he's a really, really good playmaker. And he's super young too. He's a 6'7" guard. Like what are we talking about here? That's kind of what they're comparing him to, but I don't see Lonzo inside of Anthony Black. Lonzo, or not Lonzo, LaMelo. He's more aggressive in my opinion. But that was probably the best game of the weekend in my opinion. The Arkansas-Kansas game. Jalen Wilson, I think, is a guy who can kind of creep his way up into the lottery, in my opinion. Just the way that he's able to score the basketball throughout the entire season, he's been just a bucket getter. And I think he kind of displayed that on the biggest stage that there is. He didn't have the best game, but he showed, I think, a lot of consistency of him being able to score the basketball this entire year. A lot of people like Grady Dick over him. I think Grady Dick is trash. He's not. I think he's an Instagram basketball player. Every time that I usually watch him play, he doesn't really do,
Mac McClung.
He doesn't really do much to me. I don't really see too much. I think Jalen Wilson is the better player than Grady Dick. Now Grady Dick is probably younger, but I think Jalen Wilson
6'9".
I think he's better. I think Jalen Wilson is better than Grady Dick in my opinion. That's just me from watching the games, just watching them play like throughout the years. And the more bigger games that they play in, Jalen Wilson usually was the one that showed up in those games. But this weekend was insane, just with upsets all over the place. From Arizona, Princeton is a team I think that is for real. They can shut. I don't know if they're going to
shoot the lights out.
I don't know if they're going to win this weekend, but they will definitely cover the 10-point spread. So if you guys are trying to make some money, hammer it on Princeton -10 or +10 if you want to make some money. I wish I would have had and told guys, hey man, like we would have did a podcast like after Arkansas played and then they're going up against Kansas. I'd have been like, take Arkansas money line. You guys would have won a little bit of money.
Well, I should have taken the spread for the Sacramento State women's basketball game rather than my own customized spread, because the spread was 25 points. They lost by 22. I had my own personal spread set at 20. So I lost $20 to Jaevon. Congratulations. And so real quickly, Kevin, I saw the expression on your face when Jaevon was giving the comparison between a Grady Dick and you said Jalen Wilson. So, Kevin, did you have a response in regard to that? And I'll even elevate Jaevon here to the top level for you guys to have a face-off.
Yeah, no, man. Jalen Wilson, I think he's going to be one of those guys that was just a great college athlete. He's going to have the accolades, but he's at the size he is, 6'3", 6'4". Mm-hmm. His 3-point game is kind of spotty. He's not really much of an offensive guard. He's been there for 3-4 years, so the development has been there.
Third year, yeah.
Yeah, so he's been there for a while, so the development's definitely been there. but there's a lot of guards better than him. So for him to sneak up into the lottery would be insane. And he's not even competing just guys in college. You got the Thompson twins. So there's a lot of other competition that he's going to have to deal with. So
Thompson
for him to be a lottery pick is going to be insane. But I think Grady Dick's the real deal, man. 6'8", 6'9". He's going to be a 3D guy in the league. That's all he's going to have to be. He doesn't have to do much shit. Have to guard his defender, hit the open shot, put it on the ball, put the ball on the dribble on the court every now and then, and continue to go. So I think Grady Dick's going to be the better player once it goes off. And he might have been Jalen Wilson might have been the better player now because he was the freshman coming into a national championship team. So, Jalen Wilson was going to say what says goes. So Jalen Wilson was going to shoot the last shot no matter how many points anyone else had because it was his team. So I definitely think Grady Dick's going to be the better player looking back on this.
He's younger too.
Yeah, so, that's a good point.
A spring chicken.
And he's 6'8".
They like tall and 18-year-olds.
Tall and
18-year-olds. Yeah, if you're 18 and you can go to you're 6'9" and you have some upside, oh yeah, you're going in the lottery.
In the NBA lottery, that's for sure. And so unless either of you have any thoughts on the 1 seeds that have been taken down now, Kevin, let's get to the most important part of men's March Madness, and that is that Duke, number 5 seed Duke, got upset, Duke was the 4 seed and Tennessee was the 5 seed, right? Yeah.
I don't say upset.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, so Duke, I apologize. Duke was defeated by Tennessee this past weekend in the second round. And
Coach K,
now with Kansas losing, Duke losing, Kentucky also lost in the round of 32.
Blue Bloods.
And North Carolina Toddy squad didn't even make it to the dance after playing for the championship last year. And so, Keegan with the offensive rebound. File that under things I love to see. That's a fact.
You guys just think you're so good, huh? You're so much better than all the people in the NIT.
Okay. So, as I sit here with a Duke fan and with a Kansas fan, North Carolina fan, I want to know because this is the 4th time, and you guys have probably seen this stat flying around. This is the 4th time without Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, or Kentucky, considered the Blue Bloods, in the Sweet 16. UCLA would have something to say about that, but without those 4 teams in the Sweet 16, it's only the 4th time that has ever happened. It's happened now in 2023. It happened in 2021.
Oh, yeah.
Bonus question, could either of you name one of the previous 2 years that there was all 4 of these teams not in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament? So it happened in 2021, in 2023, and then before that, it was a long time, the last time that happened.
No idea.
19s or 18s?
19s.
Jesus, Kevin. Playing basketball in 18.
He said, Dr. James Naismith said Duke shall not pass.
1901. That's what Kevin was gonna say.
I couldn't tell. Yeah, that's a long.
1964.
Oh, good guess. So 19. Nope. That was a good follow-up, Kevin. So 1976, 1979.
Jesus.
The year before Coach K came around, or I think Coach K's first year, actually. 1976, 1979.
Oh, I fucking
2021 and 2023 are the 4 times that those 4 teams have not made it to the Sweet 16. So, Kevin, I can't call you biased because there were a lot of people picking Duke to go far in this tournament. A lot of experts. I had them losing in the round of 64. Kevin and I covered on Thursday's podcast, even though it was an NFL podcast, we covered. I was wrong. Oral Roberts did not defeat Duke. I was wrong. I just had it 1 round too soon. And so, Kevin, I just want to ask you, simply put, what went wrong for the Blue Devils?
We just weren't the better team. From the jump, though, I definitely think us not having Mark Mitchell played a huge role into it. With that starting 5 of Jeremy Roach, Tyrese Proctor, Mark Mitchell, Derek Lively, and Kyle Flakowski, we were on an 11-game winning streak, 19-1 in total. So that starting 5 really set the tone for us to have to throw Derek Whitehead in there. I know he's a projected first-round pick, so it should be like a glove, but defensively, we had a lot of problems, and one of their wings literally killed us. Toddy mentioned with Jeremy Roach fouling out. He got in foul trouble early, but it's like he got to rock. he's the one dude who returned from last year's team with the Final Four experience. So you expect him to go out there and play smart and not get in foul trouble and eventually foul out. But, this team wasn't really predicted to do much under Coach John Snyder in his first year. We had a rocky start, but we were still able to finish at the top of the AC tournament. Like I told Toddy back in December, I told him we got to figure it out. I lost some money early on of them playing Purdue, so I was kind of rocky on them too. But, we figured it out. John Snyder just had to figure it out and really get the team to believe in his system. And this is just a great starting point, and we'll be back.
Okay, Jaevon, did you have thoughts on your rivals losing in the round of 32?
I was kind of disappointed. I thought they were the better team. I didn't really think Tennessee was very iffy kind of coming into the year. They ended up losing one of their star point guard. I think I'm not sure if it was an ACL injury, but due to injury, he played I think I heard in the SEC tournament. But Tennessee just all year has kind of been a team that's been up and down, up and down. They've been number one before and then kind of just fell off. But it kind of got rocky in the second half when the lefty from Tennessee, when he hit like 4 threes. That's kind of like what started the barrage of everything, and the Duke just kind of just spiraled out of control. They were trying to get everything back in one possession, just because they didn't really have an answer from the guy who just kept hitting threes. So after that, kind of just Duke, Roach ends up fouling out, and they were just kind of fighting with one hand behind their back, and it kind of was just they were trying to get all whatever points they were down, they were trying to get it all back in one possession. So I think it's just kind of just they have a new coach, and this is his first. The Kings are down 3 right now. But
you just saw my facial expression to De'Aaron hitting a 3 to tie it. I'm probably a minute behind. Oh, there's the Kelly Olynyk 3 for them, now down 3. Thank you very much.
But I think just what you need experience. This is the coach's first year. He got to the tournament. They won the ACC. They got to the second round. Kevin is probably this is we're building up. That's what Kevin's thinking about right now. We got new recruits coming in next year. This will be the coach's second year. He's got experience under his belt. But I guess we'll see. But I'm kind of shocked. I lost money. Duke lost, so I had Duke winning.
So the follow-up question that I had to that, because it's something that you said, Jaevon, and Kevin nodded in agreement, is that you were saying that it's the first year and they're building at Duke now because it's no longer Coach K, it's the John Shire era. Kevin, even though Jaevon was the one that said this, I'm going to pose this question directly to you since you are the Duke fan here. I was just wondering, because we are in the one and done era. So when Jaevon says we are building and you shake your head in agreement, are you saying that you guys are building a culture under John Shire? Because I don't know how much roster building there's going to be with elite talent in this one and done era.
Definitely the culture. Like you mentioned, the one and done era, Duke's really known for that. Getting guys to come in for 1 year. It's really rare to see a guy, and when they are, to, Quinn Cook and Nolan Smith, guys who stay around and, win national titles. Christian Laettner stayed off 4 years, Grant Hill, but that was kind of an old school thing. But now that the modern day we're in, we're just trying to build a culture. It's hard to build a culture when the names build or they have a building after the coach, the court's named after the coach, the old coach. So, he just got to find his way through it all. I know it's hard to follow up such a great act, but he's going to find his way, and Duke will be back on top in no time.
All right, we shall see. And now the last topic I wanted to get to, just a quick note that in the Sweet 16, there are 11 different conferences represented, which is tied for the most since the NCAA tournament expanded in 1985, along with 1991 and 2010, that there have been 11 different conferences represented in the Sweet 16. And Princeton, as Jaevon was mentioning them earlier, Princeton as a 15 seed is one of those teams in the Sweet 16, as Princeton is the 4th 15th seed all time to reach the Sweet 16 after they beat Arizona, number 2 Arizona in the first round, and then they beat number 7 Missouri by 15 points in the second round. And so, Jaevon, I'm just wondering, do you think Princeton is for real? Like, how far can Princeton go?
They're playing. Who are they playing this weekend?
I'll have to pull that up. And real quickly, while you look up who they're playing this weekend, I just wanted to say that I thought it was really cool. I'm not sure, Jaevon, if you know who Creighton.
They can win that game. They can win that game. They can for sure win that game. No, just the teams that they played all. When they played Arizona, Arizona, they won the Pac-12. So I had UCLA winning the Pac-12, and then Arizona kind of, edged them out at a very, very super close victory. It was like at the very ass end of the game that they won. So, and then kind of for the Shaun just saw that he's witnessed the Kings game. Yeah, he saw the missed 3. I already saw it. I don't want to ruin it for him, but
I just saw like 5 missed 3s. That's what you just saw my reaction to. Anyways, I'm sorry. Please go ahead. Please continue.
But for Princeton to kind of come out and beat Arizona, I was like, whoa, like they can go places, because I had Arizona, I think, going to like the Elite 8, Final 4. So I mean, if they're able to, Missouri, like I never thought Missouri was really that good at all. So when they went up against Missouri and they were dogs, I was like, yeah, Princeton's gonna win. So Princeton has definitely a shot against Creighton. Although, Shireman and Nembhard went for like 30, I think.
Yeah, him and his brother are hooping, bro.
Yeah, so those guys are nothing to play with. But Princeton is definitely a team I would look at and be like, you can take them straight up, or if you're too afraid to take them straight up, you can take them with the points, and the points is probably the safest bet because they're a 10-point dog. So if you want to be safe and maybe win some money, take them in the points. But if you're
feeling lucky.
Well, Jaevon just froze again. I heard the and I wasn't sure what he was referring to there. But real quickly, let's just do that real quick. Okay. And so, Kevin, the question that I posed to him was that how far do you think Princeton will go? Because Jaevon was saying how, yeah, they definitely have a shot against Creighton. That's without a doubt. But that gets them only to the the Elite 8. They are in the Sweet 16, could get to the Elite 8. But then if Princeton were to beat Creighton, then they would play most likely number 1 seed Alabama in the Elite 8 or number 5 San Diego State. But how far do you see them going, Kevin?
I definitely think they have a chance to beat Creighton. And, if Brandon Miller has another 0-point game and San Diego State's able to edge that one out, I think they go to the Final Four. I think they're going to be better than San Diego State. So if everything plays out and they end up winning and San Diego State wins and it becomes San Diego State Princeton, I think Princeton's going to go out there and get the dub. And then I think that's where the journey ends. But while we're talking about Princeton, it was crazy to think that 1.86% of all the brackets picked Princeton to go to the Sweet 16.
That's all the kids that live on the Princeton campus.
And it's crazy,
there can't be that many.
All the kids in the schools and all the other Sweet 16 schools are going crazy, and someone's showing the Princeton, and everyone's in the library just studying. Like they're not even caring about this. This is finals week, and it's hilarious. Like I keep seeing the tweets, man. Start talking about the smart kids beat the basketball kids.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and something that I was going to say earlier is that I just thought it was really cool to see Princeton win both games at the Golden One Center in Sacramento because, Kevin, you may know who this is. Jaevon doesn't know who this is most likely, but Pete Carrill, former NBA coach, former Kings coach, former Princeton coach. He died last year, and he was from Princeton, and he was a longtime Kings coach. And to see his school come into Sacramento and to pull off 2 huge upsets and advance to the Sweet 16, I think it's pretty awesome. And I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Carrill had a little bit of something to do with that. If you're a believer in that, I am, but not everyone is. Anyways, guys, now, unless either of you have anything else to say about the men's tournament, now let's move on to the women's tournament. And this is my favorite tournament. I mean, there's only 2. But this is by far my favorite tournament, and it has to do with a lot of what I said last week in regard to just having rivalries that are established and big names that are established. And the Kings, they officially just lost in Utah against the Jazz 128-120. It's a tough loss. We'll talk about that more next week. And so anyways, this women's tournament, the argument that a lot of people make with the women's tournament and saying why they don't like it is because there isn't as much madness. March is known for madness, but in the women's tournament, it's been like 10 years in a row that a number 1 seed has been the national champion. And so there isn't a lot of parity in the women's tournament. Well, there is in 2023 because Jaevon, it broke my heart. My number 1 seed, Stanford Cardinal, they got upset last night against Ole Miss on their home floor. Haley Jones is done, and she's moving on to the WNBA, and just absolutely breaks my heart that she wasn't able to go far in the tournament in her last season. But we'll always have 2021 when Haley was a sophomore, and she won the national championship with Stanford. And gentlemen, we have big news. We have a celebrity in the building.
Oh my God.
None other than Mr. Garry Singh making his return. Welcome, Garry.
What's poppin', fam? How y'all doing? Appreciate y'all holding it down, man, for the busy man. Appreciate
Garry,
y'all.
you came in at the best possible
Perfect time.
Perfect.
I was watching on the way. I was watching on the way.
We appreciate you, Garry. Thanks for tuning in. How was the volleyball game?
It was good, bro. You jinxed it, bro. I went to set 4. I'm like, really? And right when I was looking, I was like, bro, the pod's already perfect timing. Only like 10 minutes ready to go. I'm like, whatever. It's all good, though. Glad to be here, guys. Let's get cooking.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here, bro. And also, our guy James has just made his arrival to the YouTube chat. As he said, I made it, boys. I made it. No beam tonight with the sad face. Yes, unfortunately, no beam. But
fresh from the AEW set.
Yeah, James is fresh from AEW. But anyway, so Garry, we were just getting into the women's tournament real quickly. Garry, did you have any thoughts that you wanted to share about the men's tournament? You were there at the Golden One Center watching some of the games. So did you have any thoughts on the men's tournament?
I mean, just in general, my first time being there and like being at a March Madness game, like actually a big high level college basketball game. Man, it's something else when the two teams come in. Usually I'm used to Kings fans in the building and everyone's rooting for one team, one purpose, basically. When two sides come in, it was crazy, and it was cool to see some crazy upsets. But really, I'll just wrap it up real quick. I just feel like March Madness is basically about like who can get buckets at the right time, ballistically. I mean, that's the NBA too, but like college basketball especially, some teams can be overall better, but if you have a few bucket getters at the clutch times who got mid-ranges and can shoot threes, it's pretty much a wrap. Because some teams that work pretty good, like as a team, get stuck and bogged down. So it's pretty cool when you see some guys turn up the heat when it's crunch time calls.
Without a doubt, I absolutely love the energy that March Madness brings. And so the thing I was saying with the women's tournament, Garry, is that the argument for a lot of people is that there's not a lot of parity. There's not a lot of madness. The top seeds always win on the women's side. But last night, number 1 Stanford was taken out by Ole Miss. And today, number 1 Indiana was upset by Miami, the Cavender twins, and the other players that they have there at the U. And so now on both sides, on the men's and women's tournament, we have 2 number 1 seeds knocked out before the Sweet 16. And so, Kevin, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. What do you think about on the women's side, how things aren't shaking up like they have in the past?
Man, it's heartbreaking to see, but I'm happy to see it. March Madness, like you mentioned, there's people say they lack the madness, and now they're getting it. We're seeing number 1 seeds go down. No one in their right mind thought Stanford was going to go down to Ole Miss. But now that I've heard about it, though, all I've heard today is how good Ole Miss has been all season, and they just needed the platform. And they went out there and did it and showed the world how good they actually are. They went out there with the mindset of, no one's picking us. No one in the world's picking us. So why don't we go out here and tell them to fuck their rackets? So with that mentality, any kind of team is dangerous. And now it's just showing that the madness is in both women and men's sports.
And so, Jaevon, before I get your thoughts on this women's bracket, the thing that's crazy is that up until yesterday and today, and Garry, that's like number 7 on the Jaevon counter for how many times he's fallen out today. Yeah, exactly. He's going to have to call Xfinity or something like that. But the thing that's crazy about this women's tournament is until yesterday when Stanford lost, and then today when Indiana lost, it had been 14 years since the last number 1 seed on the women's side lost before the Sweet 16, as Duke was the last team to do it. Hey, Kevin, Duke was the last women's team to lose as a number 1 seed back in 2009, before yesterday with Stanford and today with Indiana. Ohio State lost as a number 1 seed back in 2006. And it's only happened 5 times previously before yesterday and today. So it's so crazy. Jaevon, I just wanted to get your thoughts on this. Do you think that we're going to end up having maybe a 3 seed or lower win the women's tournament, or do you still see a 1 or 2 getting the job done ultimately?
Hey man, my pick is still in play. Iowa's still in it, man. That's all I got to say.
Ooh, hot take.
My pick is still in it. Iowa, I had winning it when we picked who we were picking to win the tournament. But hey, man, I fell asleep on Saturday night, and not really knowing what was going on. I was a little sad because I lost some money because Memphis blew it at the end of the game. That broke my heart. They were winning the game. They were up 1.
I had them going to the Final Four.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but they were a team that
I don't know about that, Shaun, but yeah, I'm gonna keep.
They beat Houston, and I was like, yeah, Houston is looking like a pretty solid team in the tournament so far. But I woke up and then there was money in my Apple Pay, and I was wondering, I was like, what is this for? Like, waking up 7 o'clock or whatever time it is in the morning, you see, then I look at the group chat, like, hey, and then Kev sending me screenshots in the group chat, and I'm like,
Kevin with the friendly reminder that I needed to pay you, even though I already did.
Now I'm not the last dude to give up money in the group chat, man. I was hoping I was waiting for a bet to happen, bro.
Yeah, so
ready to put that behind us.
Shaun offered it on the show. I think it was last Monday, but
I sure did.
It was off the air that we agreed to it. I was like, let me pull up the spread and just see. He's like, there's no way. Sac State. I've been watching Sac State all year. They're, this, that, and the third. They're going up against UCLA. I was like, UCLA is what? They're a 2 seed and Sac's number 15 seed.
They were a 4 seed, yeah.
4 seed. He's like, there's no way they get blown out, man, by 20 points. He's like 20 points less. Obviously, he was gung ho about it. He was very sure about this. Like, he was 99%.
Gary, I should have just took the actual spread, which was 25.
He was 99%. He's like, there's no way they lose by more than 20 points. And I was like, let me see. What's the spread? They were up. The spread was 25. It was 25.5. And I was like, sure, I'll take that. Why not? And then sure enough, Kevin sends the reminder. And then I already told Shaun the money's already been spent. It's already been
a hit.
So thank you, Shaun, for donating.
Yeah, you can thank the Hornets and the Sac State women's basketball team, but honestly, you should thank me more than them, because like you said, the spread was 25.5. I was so confident. I said the spread should be 20. They lose by 22. If I just took the actual spread, I would be $20 richer. Gary, real quickly, I wanted to get your thoughts on this run from Sacramento State, because you and I are both alums. We saw when we were there, Gary, the women's basketball team was terrible, stingers all the way up, but the women's basketball team was terrible when we were there under Bucky Harkleroad, Gary. And now under Mark Campbell, the team is totally turned around, and now they look like they could be perennial winners. So what were your thoughts on the year that this Sac State women's basketball team had, Gary?
I mean, it's a big, big win for the Sac State women's. It's a big win for Sac State in general. Actually, this weekend I went to March Madness, ran into some fellow Sac State athletic people because they were sponsoring the March Madness tournament. And, man, they were all just super happy and super proud of their team to make it there. It's the first time in obviously I think history, to be honest. I think if I remember
first time ever in school history. Yep.
That we had made that tournament. So hopefully it made a big shining light on the Sacramento State program in general. Talking to this guy, hopefully in a few years we can get this nest rebuilt so we can actually have some real games and get it really filled up. But it looks really nice, and it's really cool to see it flip around, because I know me and Shaun, we covered that team a few times during our tenure at Sac State. And a couple of years, man, it was sorry. I think one year they won 2 or 3 wins, and it was just sad.
3 wins, yeah.
It was
awful.
Yeah, it was sad. So I'm glad they can flip it around and turn it around and give some respect to Sacramento and Sacramento State basketball. So that was cool. Quick side note, I'm not a really negative person here, but I got a complaint about this March Madness tournament. Being there, and I don't know, tell me it's the same thing on TV, guys. these timeouts and these media commercials it's so long, bro. It's like every time they have like one ball in, boom, timeout again. I'm like sitting there like it was just not like momentum of the game is getting stopped. I feel like too much about like timeouts, media timeouts, and things of that nature. And it's so long. And being in the arena, usually I'm used to like looking at the clock and seeing how much time's left. I don't even put the time up there, I think, because they know it's so long. So it's like a little bit weird to like, I'm like, it's just a flow. So I think just one note, if get March Madness some note, it's crazy fun to see, but they should fix the flow a little bit. I think that would help the players too, because some team can make a quick run, like 5-0 run, and boom, it's another timeout when they just got back from a timeout literally a minute later. So it's like I just feel like they should probably fix the flow a little bit and more of an up and down tempo. And I feel like they'll see some crazy comebacks and stuff too, just like kind of like the NBA. So
CBS got to get their money.
I didn't enjoy any of this commercial breaks, so I couldn't tell you how long they were. We were losing. I was just upset the whole commercial break. Couldn't tell you how long they were. Game couldn't get over fast enough.
So real quickly, guys, before we move on from March Madness completely and on to the Sweet 16, I made kind of a side comment earlier, but now I want to get everyone's actual opinion on this because I feel like the Fairleigh Dickinson gym, which is called the smallest gym in the country for college D1 basketball, I feel like it looked just like the Sac State Hornets nest. And so I got a couple pictures ready. And for our audio-only listeners, I'm sorry, you will have to just look up what Fairleigh Dickinson's gym looks like in the Sac State Hornets nest. But I feel like you would agree with me, and I want to see if the guys do as well. So, first of all, here is the Sac State Hornets nest. Woo! So it fits maybe about
big in the picture, I feel like.
Yeah, it does look bigger in the picture. That is like that is the Hornets nest at right, Gary. That's the Hornets nest at like maximum capacity, like 1,000 people. And then here is Fairleigh Dickinson. Oh, wow. Fairleigh Dickinson looks like almost the same exact layout, almost the same exact size. And so I just want to pose this question to all of you guys. You think it's bigger, Jaevon? Tell me why.
I think it's bigger. It just it looks more full.
No, this gym right here, it has more rows.
Fairleigh Dickinson's gym kind of looks like a high school gym in the 90s.
I know, with all the wood up top.
Yeah, all
the high school gym in the 90s.
Dude. It looks like the He Got Game gym,
Kev.
Gary, what do you think?
Our lighting looks a little better, which is kind of shocking. Usually when you shoot in there, Shaun, it's not that good.
I know,
but, I think the other gym looks better, has a couple more rows, but yeah. Shoot here. I hope we get a new one in general. Shit.
Yeah, I know, right? Just new entertainment center. Kevin, what do you think about these two gyms? Do you think that Fairleigh Dickinson has a bigger gym than Sac State?
Oh yeah, it looks bigger, but I could be wrong. Just because it has a higher ceiling, maybe makes it look a little bit bigger. But
that's the bigger capacity, Shaun.
Well, apparently it is Sac State has a bigger capacity because
told you.
Because Barstool Sports was the one that tweeted a photo of the Fairleigh Dickinson gym after they upset Purdue, and they were like, "This is the gym that this team plays in." And
they're going back to practice for the Sweet 16.
Exactly, right? And so then when I saw it, like my instant reaction was just like, that looks like the Hornets nest. Like it doesn't look too much different from what Gary and I experienced when we were in college. And so now real quickly, I just want to get to a couple of these YouTube comments. And I want to give a shout out to Uncle Manny, who says that he doesn't watch college basketball, but March Madness is awesome. And Uncle Manny thought that it was funny too, that we were talking about the Sac State gym. And so anyways, real quickly, we just got to close it out with some NFL. I feel bad, Gary. I know you probably got a lot of takes to say about the Kings, but we'll have to catch that next week, as now we move on to the NFL with free agency. As last Monday, we talked about all the initial deals that just hit with the new league year starting and the tampering period opening. Then Kevin and I, we had our NFL free agency special last Thursday night, and we covered all the moves that were made from Tuesday to Thursday. Now these are all the moves that have been made since Friday morning. So we shall start with the 49ers, Jaevon, the best team in the NFL. I knew I was gonna get some type of reaction, but I was disappointed that Kevin's reaction was so silent. I wanted the audio only listeners to.
Let you guys live in this fantasy world.
All right, well, we'll at least live in our fantasy world for the next
Who's
5
the center
to 6
we signed
months.
today? John something.
Yeah, so John Feliciano from the Giants. They re-signed tight end Ross Dwelly to a 1-year deal. Shout out to Ross Dwelly from, I think, Oak Ridge High School. And they also signed defensive back Miles Hartsfield to a 1-year deal. He was on the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, exactly. So, Jaevon, obviously, we already kind of covered all of the big news, obviously, last week with Javon Hargrave as the headliner. And then Kevin and I also covered everything in between this past Thursday. But when it comes to these 3 deals, do any of these stick out to you at all, or is it kind of just depth moves?
Depth moves, but I do think John Feliciano's probably our starter. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up starting, kind of winning the job over in training camp. He seems like a very athletic type of center that can pull. Not trying to get too much in depth with offensive line play, but really it was just depth moves. Like you said, but Javon Hargrave was the splash play. Right now, anything else in free agency is just going to be just depth. And then in the draft, we'll kind of just recuperate everything that we pretty much need. D-line, defensive backs is probably what we'll go heavy on. D-line and DBs. You might see us probably draft a running back. We might trade a couple of our picks too, because we got a shitload of 3rd-round picks. So you might see a couple of trades there, but pretty much we're just kind of edging everything out. We lost a lot of role players, so we're just trying to just recuperate everything from then on.
And Jaevon, remind me, how did the 49ers get a shit ton of 3rd-round picks?
I mean, we just have guys that just go and just become head coaches. I mean, there's that. We're going to get a comp pick from Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, we just get comp picks because we just have the best coaching staff in the league. So people like to poach our staff. And then so we just get picks that way. So, Kevin's going to learn that it's not always greener on the other side. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. But, when you got guys that just become head coaches all over the league from your staff, and you're just still one of the best teams in the league, even though you lost all of those great assistants. So, that's pretty much what it is, man. We got, guys in the front office even going to become GMs in Tennessee with Rand Carthen. We got a comp pick from that, another 3rd-round pick there. So, I mean, it's just, we're getting comp picks after comp picks after comp picks, and we're just dropping them all over the place. And maybe we'll kind of, throw all these 3rds, and maybe we could turn into a 2nd. Hey, maybe we could turn it into a 1st. We'll see. I give you
Gary,
6 3rd-round picks.
Gary, didn't you just miss us in all of our Niners nonsense?
Oh, I've been hearing it. Don't worry. I listen to the timestamps, guys. I listen to it.
Of course.
Listen to the pod. And I actually sometimes want to text you guys my last few episodes I missed in the middle, like, this is some dumb shit y'all said right here.
You need to. You need to call them on it, bro. I think
I'm going to start writing notes now for later on and bring some. And I'll really have bring some notes back.
Catch up on what you missed. And I remember. So just Jaevon and Kevin, quick backstory on that is I have sent Gary podcasts before to listen to, and he has texted me midway through, and he's just been like, what the fuck are you talking about with this? And I'm like, what are you referring to? And then I make the point that I was supposed to make 5 minutes later, and he's like, oh, I see what you mean. I got you. And he'll text me again 5 minutes later. He'll be like, okay, I see what you meant there. I got you. But exactly. Right. And so now real quickly,
hold on. What was cringe though in the last couple episodes that we need to stop right now, Vaughn, because then we wasn't here. It's Ohio State little H and then no. Kev, I know you didn't even fall for it either. No, y'all need to stop.
That's insane.
Hey Kevin, OH.
Well, they can do this Niner stuff. IO.
There we go.
When I first heard it, he was like, this is cringe, y'all. That's why I put in the timestamps. I was like, y'all need to stop.
Yeah, I know. Gary labeled the timestamp Ohio State Buckeye behavior. It's like here's a 2-minute block of Ohio State Buckeye behavior just between Kevin. I mean, it was just me and Kevin. We had to shoot the shit about Ohio State for a couple minutes.
All good. Mess around.
And so anyways, let's get real quickly, Kevin, to your team, the second best team in the NFC, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles.
We doubled down on it. Golly.
I'm doubling down.
Jeez, I don't know what y'all did this free agency to give you this confidence, but my God.
Okay, I'm just going to leave it there. Otherwise, we're going to get into a debate that's going to not end. Okay, so the Eagles, unlike the 49ers in the past week, actually did make some significant moves, or at least some significant names made some moves. And so one move, Kevin, that I think was already made either on last Monday's episode or by Thursday's episode was the fact that the Eagles re-signed defensive end Brandon Graham. You might have mentioned that, but I had never mentioned that. And so I just wanted to get that on the record that the Eagles did bring back Brandon Graham. But the other two moves from the Eagles this past week is they do now have their new backup quarterback. Last Thursday, Kevin, you and I, we talked about Gardner Minshew moving on to Indianapolis. And I was asking you who you think will be the backup right after we finish recording, because that always seems to be how it happens. Right after we finished recording, we got the news that Marcus Mariota signed a 1-year deal worth $5 million with the Philadelphia Eagles to back up Jalen Hurts. But Jaevon, the bad news comes with this. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson signed a 1-year deal worth
how much?
$8 million. $8 million for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson signing with the Detroit Lions. He signs on a prove-it deal because apparently, according to something that Kevin sent us, I guess Howie Roseman just got tired of waiting. And he said, you know what? I'm going to pay Bradbury. I'm going to pay Slay. I'm sorry, Gardner-Johnson. See you later, as he now goes and signs with the Lions. So, Kevin, this is your team. What are your thoughts on the moves from these past couple of days?
You know, man, all before free agency, my phone would ring, it'd be Toddy calling me to ask me my thoughts on CJ and what's going to happen, man. And I'm telling you, he's Jamal Adams Jr. No one's going to commit this money to him. He's not Minka, and he's not
switch up is crazy.
So, Toddy, I've been telling you this whole time. So it's funny because we were going to franchise tag him, and he refused to play under the franchise tag, which would have been $14 million. If you're going to chase the bag, that's what you're chasing. All this showed me is he really didn't want to be in Philly. But it's funny. After Lions gave him that offer sheet, went back to Howie and said, you match this. And Howie said, this number has been disconnected. Please don't fucking call back. You know,
damn, Kev.
It's just crazy, bro. Like, why wouldn't you want to play in Philly? Now you're on a prove-it deal with a team that might draft a quarterback. So you're going to be here in this quarterback purgatory when you could have been with the Eagles. You know, we offered him the money. He would have made $17 million in his third year. You know, I know he wanted the money up front. You got to be healthy to get the money up front, and you just weren't healthy. So, you know, it's sad to see him go. But we were, like Shaun mentioned, we always bring back the best cornerback duo in the NFL. So
I don't know if I said that part. So real quickly, Jaevon, you weren't able to join us last Thursday, but you were able to tune in for a bit, and you were commenting in YouTube. So Jaevon, I wanted to ask you about the comment that Kevin just made, that apparently the Eagles have the best corner duo in the NFL. You disagree. Tell us why.
Bradbury he's an okay corner. Slay is a guy that's kind of just done it year in, year out. So I respect the Slay aspect of it. Bradbury, I'd like to see a little bit more from. I think he's too inconsistent for me. I don't think he's not a top 5 corner to me. To me, I think there's a bunch of guys that you can name over him. I think the best quarterback duo in the league is probably Miami now, with Jalen Ramsey going over there and via trade, him and Xavier Howard. You could argue that they have the best secondary in the league with Javon Holland as well. But I think that the Eagles have a very good secondary for sure. I to be honest, I don't even think they have the best secondary in their division. Trayvon Diggs and Stephon Gilmore might have something to say about that. But yeah, I mean, they have a solid secondary now. I think their secondary is weaker now with them losing CJ Gardner-Johnson. And for him to see him go in free agency and sign an $8 million deal, and he didn't sign a franchise tag, which would have been $14 million, it's sickening to me. And it just doesn't make sense. Kevin said that he probably never didn't wanted to be in Philly anyway. I doubt that. I just don't think they wanted to give him a long-term contract.
We offered him a 3-year deal, bro.
For how much?
It would have been hey, I have it right here.
Yeah, Kevin has it.
So it's gonna be 12 years to 2 years, and then the last year would have been 17.
You said for what was the yearly? I'm sorry.
For the first two, it was going to be 12 years or 12 million, and then
Yeah.
the last one was going to be 17. So it was just back ended fully, and he wanted the money up front. So, man, he just didn't want to be an Eagle and tip his hat to him, have fun,
It's another
being
Eagle.
a top 4, top 5 pick every year. But before I let this go too far, Toddy said James Bradbury was too inconsistent for him, was the word he said. So I have a stat for you that shows that
he had a good year.
Stats over politics.
No, I'm gonna give you a stat.
He had a good
Most
year,
passes defended in the NFL since 2016. James Bradbury, 99. That's pretty consistent to me. But while we're talking about the duo, number 2 on that list is Darius Slay with 98.
Darius Slay is a good corner.
Cornerback tandem, and it was the only tandem in the NFL to have 14 pass deflections and 3 interceptions. I know the Cowboys have a retirement home over there for Stephon Gilmore, and it's going to be nice, to mentor Trayvon Diggs, the next big-time corner, but you know who A.J. Brown is? You know who Devontae Smith is?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, man. I know you got to practice against Michael Pittman. This ain't that. And this isn't Stephon Gilmore, defensive player Stephon Gilmore.
Hey, Kev, 2 times a year. 2 times a year.
Hey, man.
Y'all sweeping the Cowboys this year?
Get the brooms out. We're not going to lose a division game.
Oh, God.
I don't know how to listen to this right now. Like, hold on.
Last year.
I mean, hey, we had Gardner.
I actually, hold on.
We had
That's something I
Gardner, and
remember.
then we beat ourselves. So, congratulations.
All right, so let's hear from Gary.
Nah, Kev, I remember I heard your take last week, bro. 2 losses all year? 2? I haven't even looked at the schedule. I just feel it hard to believe with the hardest schedule, it's going to be 15-2, Kev. That's what you feeling like?
Lonely at the top, brother. We're gonna have to go do it, man. I already booked the Airbnb for February 11th.
Oh my God, the Eagles are going to regress next year, and it's going to suck because
I'm sick of the disrespect, bro. If you're not talking Benjamins, I don't want to hear it.
You guys lost so many players on your defense.
No, we didn't.
Yes, you did, and you lost 2 of your.
We draft for this. We literally brought in replacements to say, you know what?
So now everybody
out with the old, in with the new, bro. And it's crazy, bro, because people act like TJ Edwards has been this. There has been 3 seasons of shit. 3 seasons. And he blows up.
Jaevon Hargrave too.
Hey, bro, I told you guys, you can quote me on this. In 2 years, we're gonna talk about. Well, Kevin, if the Niners cut Jaevon Hargrave, they'll save so much money. And hey, man, he was an Eagle for 3 other seasons, and it wasn't that. I know you guys just lost to us, so you guys want to, plug and play, and he did it for the Niners, so why not do it for us? Let's do it. And Toddy wanted Darius Slay, and if it worked for the Eagles, it could work for us. So it's not that, man. Cowboys sweep the Eagles? Absolutely not. I know they've had a big free agency, but did they bring in another quarterback, Julian? Leading interceptions in the NFL?
They'll split last year
with Gardner.
So, okay, all right. So we'll leave it there, and that topic will be revisited. Gary, I wanted to ask you a question that Uncle Manny posed that I thought was a really good one. Gary, are you surprised that Lamar hasn't gotten an offer yet from anyone? Why or why not?
It's pretty insane.
Yeah, exactly. This is much one of the topics that's been irritating me a lot, that we haven't got anything from Lamar Jackson. Like I told you guys months ago, you guys were laughing. I tell my Steelers right now, drop everything and trade everything for this guy because I've seen him literally.
That'd be crazy. They wouldn't let us. Everybody.
Yeah,
Minka
because
and
they would not want us. Yeah, they wouldn't want us to have him.
And 3 first.
Damn.
Exactly.
In conference, yeah.
Yeah, in conference to your rival, I know what had happened, but man, oh man. Lamar Jackson, I don't understand this, guys. He's proven he literally has won a playoff game. He's literally within the first 5 years has been killing it in stats. That people can't say he throw, but he literally throws the ball pretty well and does everything great. If you could do something great and you could do something okay and you get an MVP off that, I think you deserve the money. It's kind of ridiculous how Ravens are really playing with him and they don't know what the value of him has. Like, if I'm him, I don't even want to be a Raven no more. And that's not me even hating on the Ravens, because obviously I have a deep hatred for the Ravens, but
Change the
respect at the
profile
same
picture.
time. But I wouldn't even want to be on the team because of how much disrespect you guys really landed my way, especially if you guys want a discount or quote unquote, then you should have paid me 3 years ago. Now, when there's no years left on the contract, now you have to pay me the maximum capacity. And if I was him, I would hold out until you get a fully guaranteed deal. I'd really just push this to a limit, because at the end of the day, I feel like someone should be paying for him. And I don't like all this slander too, I think, of these teams not really going out there and trying to push for him. If I'm any team with no quarterback, we can name so many teams right now. If I'm a team with an okay quarterback, I would still go get Lamar Jackson, because once you have Lamar Jackson in your division on your team, he switches so many dynamics up and things of that nature. What did Kev say? I missed it.
He said when you said okay quarterback, he could just sneakily said Niners.
Yeah, Niners would. Hey, yeah, I was about to say, Shaun, I know you'd be wishing for that one too. Come on now. I know you'd be paying him a lot of money, but you would want Lamar Jackson. If your name is not Patrick Mahomes,
we ain't got no picks.
Or
Jalen
maybe
Hurts.
Joe Burrow
or Jalen Hurts.
I'm gonna stop right there. Joe Burrow, and maybe I like Herbert. Out of those three, I would.
Herbert over
those three. I'm talking about what I like, Kev.
Gary loves him some Justin Herbert.
Kevin, you're in the minority. You're in the minority.
No, Jalen Hurts. Because look,
when people say Jalen Hurts
they're pretty
over
neck and neck.
Herbert, yeah, a lot of people would take Herbert over Jalen Hurts. I'm sorry.
I mean,
Jalen
been to a Super
and
Bowl.
Lamar Jackson
Who's going to be a MVP if he doesn't get hurt? Who gave him a 30-0 lead?
You're right.
Okay, so Gary, go ahead.
No, Kev, I'm just wondering what you think on this. Lamar Jackson, I don't want to switch the whole topic up, but Lamar Jackson compared to Jalen Hurts, is there a big difference now? Fuck, it's pretty neck and neck here. Just the winning would actually help Jalen Hurts more, but the numbers wise and everything like that, and how much crazy Lamar Jackson is, I feel like he might just have a little bit over him. But needless to say, my bad. A couple weeks a little rusty, guys, my bad. Needless to say, Lamar Jackson needs to get paid. He needs to be on a team, and I hope he gets to a good team, because man, I do not want to see him backfire on him and just get hurt or something crazy like that and go to a shitty team and just be lost in the woods and the Ravens look right. So I really hope that Lamar Jackson gets his money, which he deserves. Simple as that.
If Jalen gets paid before Lamar and resets the market, Lamar's price is going to go up. Because look, Jalen, how many years Jalen have left on his deal, Kev? 1 year. So they should actually pay him this year, or y'all gonna be in the same situation. He said we are. Exactly. They need to pay him today. You're right. They need to pay him as soon as possible, because the more longer you wait, the more money you got to pay the guy. So the Ravens sure knew that. This has already been self-explanatory for any contract you see. You can look at the Dak Prescott deal. If they would have paid Dak earlier, he'd be cheaper. That's why Patrick Mahomes looks like his deal is a little cheaper than really it is, because he got paid early. If you get paid your quarterback early, that's how you backdoor it. That's how you backdoor it. Pay cuts though. Patrick Mahomes is too. And he's on long
rings, man. The baby
or just drop a quarterback in the 7th round. That's a way to save money.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a very effective way to save money. much more effective than trading 3 first-round picks for a quarterback and a third, 3 firsts and a third. I love Trey. I still think Trey is the guy. But if
who's a starter right now, Shaun?
It's Trey right now.
This moment.
It's gonna be
Trey Lance. I just talked to a Niner fan this week, and they said no doubt Brock Purdy, no doubt.
Okay, well you didn't talk to me. You asked me what my opinion is. I say Trey Lance.
It looks like AK. When you have 2 quarterbacks, you got what?
No quarterback.
All right, that's it.
All right, we got plenty of time to talk about the 49ers. We got plenty of time to talk about the 49ers QB situation all throughout the offseason. We're running out of time. Now let's get to the remaining deals that have been made in the NFL league-wide. Let's start off with the Houston Texans, because they have been active. First, they traded wide receiver Brandon Cooks. As Kevin mentioned earlier, Brandon Cooks has now been traded 4 times in his NFL career, alongside offensive running back Eric Dickerson. Gary, I don't know if you were tuning in for that Kevin's Pop Quiz edition, but you'll have to catch that reference later. Anyways, and also shout out to Uncle Manny for always tuning in. He says, "Great show, guys. We really appreciate you, Uncle Manny." And so, anyways, the Texans have been making moves. Brandon Cooks was traded for the 4th time in his career, as he was traded within the state of Texas from the Houston Texans to the Dallas Cowboys for a 2023 5th-round pick and a 2024 6th-round pick. The Texans, they also gave offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil a 3-year deal worth $75 million on an extension, $50 million of it is fully guaranteed, as he now, once again, becomes the highest paid tackle in the NFL. Finally, the Texans signed 2 players to 1-year deals as they bring in a former Cowboy in tight end Dalton Schultz and running back Devin Singletary from the Buffalo Bills. So, Gary, I'm going to throw this one to you first. What do you think about the moves that the Texans have been making? They bring in a guy in Schultz, they get rid of Cooks, keep Tunsil, and then they bring in Devin Singletary.
I know, I'm looking at the moves right now. They're like one of the longest laundry lists right here of moves they made on this team, which is, hey, if you're close to the number 1 pick and you're now picking the number 1 pick, I think it's good to trade and add a lot of things to your team. So they're spending money this offseason. We'll see how. One thing about the NFL, there are always about 4 to 5 teams that usually end up getting out of the playoffs, and the 4 or 5 teams hop in the playoffs. And I think really it's going to come down to who their quarterback's going to be, who are they going to want to draft. And I think from there, I like the moves they made. They're shoring up their back end right now. Obviously, like you said, the running back, Devin Singletary. Robert Woods was obviously added to as well, which is we know he had a rough year last year with the Rams after he got traded, but we'll see if he can make some
The Titans, yeah.
Yeah, the Titans, and revitalize his career here. And Dalton Schultz, I know the Cowboys like their tight end, so then seeing him leave, solid tight end, especially in fantasy, like one of the few solid ones you can get once every other week. You can hit every other week, so that's solid in tight end category for the fantasy lovers out there. But hey, we're gonna have to see it to believe it. They're gonna have to nail their draft if they really want to make some big moves. That's how we kind of see the Jets last year nail their draft and the defensive category. So if you really want to make big splashes, especially in the NFL, you're gonna have to nail their draft. So I don't really see, only a couple of teams really bought their teams in the quote unquote. And last really ever, we've seen like the Rams do it the past few years, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do it. But at the same time, they had 2 great quarterbacks at the helm and veteran quarterbacks at that. So they're gonna have to be growing. I don't know if next year will be their year fully, but they're trending in the right directions. I guess we get some Texans love today.
Okay, Jaevon, what do you think about the moves that the Texans have made?
Well, it's kind of obvious they're going to draft a quarterback. So I mean, they're kind of just trying to build it up to as best as they can to get a Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. I think kind of all the roads are kind of pointing that either Anthony Richardson is going to go number 1 or probably CJ Stroud. From what I've been seeing, hearing, that's kind of what it's been looking like. They're probably leaning sources.
Jaevon has sources.
It's probably
leaning. Not that CJ's going one.
They're probably leaning towards around that CJ Stroud. I think Bryce is the best quarterback in my opinion. So the Texans are able to get a Bryce Young if he falls to 2 somehow. And, I think this is a team that can compete. They can compete for the division. Division is used. Yeah.
Okay. And Kevin, what do you think about the moves that the Texans have made?
Hot take, man. Competing in the division. There's a lot of competition in there. And, Kevin's got to always show love to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So for them to make the move that they're making with Miko Ryan, they're bringing a lot of Niner guys. I know that they brought over Jimmy Ward and just, bringing over that wide receiver room, like Toddy mentioned, it's obvious that they're drafting a quarterback. So just trying to put him in the best situation, make sure he has a solid running game. And like you guys mentioned, Dalton Schultz was a security blanket for Dak. So I think it's going to be a good move for them in the future, just trying to build up, and got a few more years to go, but they're definitely building in the right direction.
All right, now let's get to the rest of the moves that have happened league-wide since Thursday. Well, Wes, I know you were trolling us earlier, but are you still watching? Because your boy, not Justin Jefferson, but pretty close, Adam Thielen moves on from the Minnesota Vikings as Adam Thielen signs a 3-year deal with the Carolina Panthers.
They go in the Super Bowl.
Potentially, he's going to end up being the new number 1 wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. Will Adam Thielen? We shall see. The Raiders, they signed tight end O.J. Howard from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Solid.
The Buffalo Bills, they signed former Patriots running back Damian Harris to a 1-year deal. And the Dolphins exercised Tua's 5th-year option. So, Gary, I wanted to get your thoughts on whichever move that I just mentioned that you wanted to discuss, or any that I missed that you wanted to get into before we get out of here.
Man, I kind of just mentioned my Steelers. We're staying steady, guys. We haven't talked about
nothing.
We haven't did nothing, but I'll let y'all know that we do this every year because we hit on the draft. That's why I was trying to let y'all know. We got some offensive line help and offensive guard help. I know we got also an OG in the game, Patrick Pearson, to show the way for our defense as well. So I just want to let y'all know we're going quietly under the radar, but we're coming for y'all. We're coming for that top spot. I hope y'all know that.
And what? You ain't in top spot in your conference. You know, in top spot.
We're gonna be top 5. We're gonna make the playoffs. Kid, this 1,000% bet on it.
Top spot. You mean number 1 overall pick? Is that what you mean?
No, not number 1 overall pick. I'm talking about number 1 in the division.
If y'all get Caleb,
they're not gonna
have a good chance.
Yeah, Tomlin's allergic to losing.
Yeah, we're not gonna pay nobody. We ain't the paying people, but we're gonna get in the draft.
Kenny Pickett, we trust, baby. 2-glove Kenny.
Sir.
See, if Mike Tomlin was not the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would have instantly just jumped on that when Gary said, "We're making the playoffs, bet on it." And I would have instantly.
I heard everyone quiet there too. I know,
but
y'all.
It's because of Mike Tomlin. I can't bet against Mike Tomlin. He has proved until he proves
if Aaron
otherwise.
Rodgers goes to the Jets, that's another team in the AFC that you got to worry about.
That's
true. We're not worried about the AFC.
They're worried about the 3 other teams in the
one game at a time.
Well, okay. So Gary, you genuinely think that the Steelers would win the division? Because what Jaevon is saying is that you're going to have more teams to compete for in that wild card because they are all in the AFC.
No, I just feel like we said, I just mentioned earlier, 3 or 4 teams are going to fall out that we're not going to feel unexpected. And my team was pretty close last year on the toe of the line to make the division, to make the playoffs. So I wouldn't be surprised if we make the playoffs. All right, maybe, I'm not going to lie, winning divisions is going to be a little bit reaching because the Bengals are so good. Thank you, Vaughn.
Let him finish.
Last year. We beat the Bengals last year. Yeah. In division games are going to be close. First, second of all, our defense is still nice and tight. Wait for TJ to come back and be fully healthy this year, hopefully. Yep. And I would just say, too, like we mentioned earlier, the Ravens, I'm assuming, are going to fall back due to the quarterback situation. And I still haven't seen this guy, Deshaun Watson, Mr. Massager, get play any great. I haven't seen him play any great football yet, Shaun. I haven't last year. I don't know if you guys knew, but he did play.
I'm just hung up on you calling him Mr. Massager.
The last year, there's nothing to laugh about though about the situation, but just making fun of him now. Just saying that, hey, I haven't seen nothing too great to be scared of yet. I've seen him in a Texas jersey, something to be scared of. I haven't seen nothing to be scared of in a Browns jersey. So all we got is really the Bengals. I don't see why not, guys. Why not us? Just like these teams are yelling at March Madness. Why not us?
Okay, so now I want to get to the number 1 analyst on Stats Over Politics, Blue. Blue, what are your thoughts on anything else that has happened in NFL free agency?
Fine.
Now he wants to be quiet.
Right. Okay, so Blue pled the 5th, but Blue's dad, Kevin, do you have any final thoughts on NFL free agencies, whatever's happened since Friday?
Nah, man. Also all offseason I've heard the Eagles fell off. The Eagles didn't do this. The Eagles didn't do that. And we're going to be good, man. We're going to be back. Just dust it off our shoulder and keep on moving. Jaevon,
closing thoughts on NFL free agency?
According to Adam Thielen, the Panthers are going to win the Super Bowl. That's pretty.
Well, I don't think that is realistic. And so now, before we get out of here, guys, I just wanted to get to the last piece of news from the NFL today, and that is that Roger Goodell, the NFL's commissioner, is going to be around for a bit longer, I guess. Because according to Adam Schefter, Roger Goodell is in talks with NFL owners for him to receive a multi-year extension. Roger Goodell makes like $70 million a year. So I wouldn't be surprised if his multi-year extension was like 3 years, $200 million.
He getting them Mahomes money.
Exactly. And so, Jaevon, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Do you think that this is the right move for the NFL owners? Because we got to keep in mind that he is basically there to be a talking piece for the NFL owners and to be a shield for the NFL owners. And we have to try to put our personal feelings about Roger Goodell aside. So do you think this was a good move, Jaevon?
I'm not opposed to it. I don't really have any ill will towards, Goodell trying to get his money just like how the players are. So, hey, whoever his agent, tell him to holla at you.
Okay, Gary, what about you? What do you think about Goodell getting a multi-year extension?
Like Shaun, you said he's kind of the shield of the owners. I kind of see him like a liaison. I think that's how you say it, between him and the players, and the owners and the players, kind of like that middle person. I mean, that's what you're like the person that's kind of works in the middle and is supposed to really help both sides. I guess you can mostly be on the team. He's mostly kind of tells on the team side, obviously, but I feel like he needs to help the players as well. But hey, you know what? People are going to hate him. People are going to love him. Like I said, just like Vaughn, have no ill will against him. He never really hurt the Steelers much. I know he's hurt a couple other teams, people think. But
he didn't do that to the Steelers.
Exactly. He didn't do nothing to us, so I have no really problem with him. But I don't know. It's cool to see. He's a good he's a nice guy. I actually don't know why people boo him a lot, to be honest with Shaun. You want to educate me? I guess I know his inconsistency on the Patriot stuff, on the inconsistency maybe on giving people or breaking down like the laws and what, like, when he comes down hard on teams and stuff things of that nature. I know that's why people hate him, but someone has to be the bad guy at some point. So I mean, at the end of the day too, if these players that do get in trouble don't get in trouble, make his job way easier.
There you go.
Well, Gary, like you said, someone has to be the bad guy, and that's the reason why I say that because I do agree with you that he does serve as a liaison for the owners with the players and the teams, because that is his job, is to be that middleman. But on the same token of it, though, I do think that he is that shield, because like when the owners want to change the NFL rules and they want to maybe when the CBAs are up and the collective bargaining agreement is being negotiated, Roger Goodell is the one who is right in the middle of it. And he has to be the one to go over to the Players Association and say, the owners want to take 60% of the revenue now, and you guys get 40. And then he has to be the one to take all the brunt of it. And so that's why he gets paid millions and millions and millions of dollars. Gary, I will say, aside from his whole battles with the Patriots and like all of New England hating his guts, I'd say the reason why I personally am not that fond of Roger Goodell is because of his inconsistency when it comes to domestic violence and just everything when it comes to just suspensions that he gives guys. Like a guy like Josh Gordon gets suspended over and over and over again for weed, and he gets suspended for a full season. Meanwhile, other guys are getting minor offenses. And so I just want to see more consistency from Roger Goodell, and I will admit that I think he's gotten better with that over the last couple of years, and he has gotten better on his stance against domestic violence and everything of that matter. I mean,
I think also, Shaun.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think the hard part of this is job, obviously, in general. So like you say, he gets paid millions of dollars, is that he's the face, so he's going to get blamed. At the same time, there hasn't really been some of these problems that he comes across, there hasn't been no past history of like what's happened. I feel like him to like rely on for him to change. And obviously my uncle said owners love him because he makes them a lot of money. True. I mean, exactly. So that's what they love him. But I don't know. It's a hard job. So I kind of feel bad for him in that sense. Like, man, this is a hard job to really do, because anything that people hate, they automatically think of him as the person that they should be hating. And realistically, like Shaun, you've been saying, it's the owner's voice, but it's his face sometimes on top, which I feel like hurts him. But I to be honest with you, anytime you see any players talk about him or mention him or say that they've talked to him before, they always say he's a nice, great guy. So I don't think it's anything against him. I just think that's the position he's in. It's going to cause quite a bit of controversy. But hey, like Vaughn probably thinks, like we all would agree, I'll take that bad. You can say whatever you want about me. Go ahead. Say Gary's the worst on earth. He's a scumbag. Boo me all you want when I'm saying the draft picks. I'll just be counting my money in the back end.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, do you have any other final thoughts about anything before we get out of here? Kevin is on doggy duty right now, so he doesn't have any final thoughts. Jaevon, Gary, anything else you guys want to say? No? All right.
No.
Well, that is going to do it for episode number 21 of That's Over Politics. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It helps a lot. If you like the show, hit subscribe, get the notifications when we go live. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Stats Over Politics, and on Twitter at Stats For Politics. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms if you are listening on audio. If you're enjoying the show, give us 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. And for Kevin Dent, Jaevon Toddy, Gary Singh, I am Shaun. Thank you for all tuning in. We will catch you all again next Monday here on Stats Over Politics.
Peace.